and that can cause accidents. It is one of the common mistakes that drivers often make on the road, which have been resulting to lots of accidents and loss of lives. We are here at Life Camp Junction. We want to look at one of the common mistakes that drivers often make. This time around, we want to look at the level of compliance of drivers to traffic lights. Here, we can see very clearly that the traffic light is showing red right now. You can look at the vehicles coming in this direction. They are violating the traffic light. They are not obeying it. The traffic light is showing red, yet they are moving. It is showing red. You can look at the vehicle from this direction. They are supposed to wait, but they refuse to wait. They refuse to obey the traffic lights, thereby causing confusion. And that is one of the causes of accidents at junctions, because junctions are the places where high rate of road traffic crashes is being recorded nationwide. The rate of road traffic crashes at junction is very high, and this is one of the reasons why that high rate of accident is being recorded at junctions, because drivers refuse to obey the traffic light. Even if there is no traffic light, drivers are expected to follow the common sense rule by giving way to themselves. But here we can see the confusion here now, because they are not obeying the traffic light. The traffic light is showing red, but some are violating it. That's why there is a confusion here right now. And that confusion is the foundation for road traffic crashes at junctions. You can still see, look at that vehicle. You can look at the two vehicles there, they are complying. You can look at that question. Why did that one park there? Now look at where he parked to drop passenger, blocking the entire road to drop passenger, thereby creating traffic jam. And that is one of the things that used to cause accidents on the road. You can look at them. Look at him also reversing on the main road, which is against the law. The law prohibits any driver from reversing on highways. Look at him now backing up on the highway. Look at him reversing on the highway. It is against the law. And that's one of the common mistakes that drivers often make, which is responsible for the high rate of accidents in Nigeria. Though he wanted to continue, but when he saw that we were recording, so he decided to change his mind. Show those that are beating the traffic light. See them, those that are beating the traffic light. Show them, they are beating the traffic light. See that? See the confusion he wanted to cause there. See the accident he wanted to cause there, because he decided to beat the traffic lights. It's a common thing, and it's one of the factors responsible for the high rate of road traffic crashes in Nigeria. Disobedience to the road rules. The rate of obedience to traffic regulations in Lagos State is higher than what obtains in Abuja. Abuja has the best road in the whole country. Yet, for the past 4 years, Abuja has been recording the highest rate of road traffic crashes in Nigeria. And one of the reasons is just because of violation of road traffic regulations in Abuja. The rate of violation is very high in Abuja. And one of the factors responsible is egotism. People drive on the road as if the road belongs to them. They are not ready to obey the traffic laws because of whom they know. Do you know who I am? That is syndrome in Abuja. And that's one of the reasons why there is high rate of disobedience to traffic regulations, even among the very important personalities in Nigeria. We are now at Life Camp Junction. This place where we are right now, whenever it rains, it used to be flooded, and the whole road will be flooded with water, thereby causing traffic jam, and sometimes it used to cause accidents. So for many years now, water used to stay here whenever it rains because there is no drainage. As you can see now, there is no single drainage in the whole of this area, and the underground channels, the underground tunnels constructed here have been blocked by sand, thereby preventing water from flowing out of this place. You can see sand on the road as a result of the flood. The whole of this place used to be flooded flooded, including the main road used to be flooded, thereby hindering the free flow of traffic. And this can also cause hydroplaning and road traffic crash for vehicles. So there's a need for the government to look into it and construct drainage here to reduce or eliminate the flooding of this road whenever it rains. The mistakes that drivers make are just virtually the same. The mistake they make in Kubwa is virtually the same mistake they make in Kado, is virtually the same mistake they make in Life Camp, is virtually the same mistake they make in other parts of Abuja and other parts of Nigeria. The most important thing is that drivers need to be compliant. Drivers need to obey the traffic rules and regulations. But when you look at it, you will see that, look at this vehicle, for example, is supposed to be patient to allow the truck to pass. But it's trying to struggle with the truck for the road. And that can create a challenge for him. And you look at all these vehicles as well, the traffic light stopped them, but they have already passed the stop line. They stop for the traffic light, but they pass the stop line. Vehicles are not supposed to move beyond the traffic, the stop line. Whenever the traffic light stops the vehicles, the drivers must not pass the stop line. But by passing the stop line, it will make the road narrow for vehicles that are being passed by the traffic light. You can look at this example now. There is no room for the vehicles that have been passed by traffic light to pass, because these vehicles, they have already passed the stop line. So that is another common mistake on the roads. The traffic jam here is persistent because there is no traffic light at that junction. There's supposed to be a traffic light at that junction that will be programmed with the traffic light at the main junction here. So that whenever the traffic light here shows green and passes the vehicle to go this way, they will be able to turn and the traffic light will show the other people red, so that they will stop and the vehicles here will be able to pass here. As long as there's no traffic light here, whenever the traffic light here passes these ones, there will be traffic jam here because the vehicles will not be able to cross to this side. You can see indecision. That is the mistake of indecisiveness. He planned to go this way, but look at where he is. Look at that one again, stopping at the middle of the road to pick passengers. And you look at this very one also, indecisiveness, the red car, you can see the mistake of indecisiveness being committed by drivers on the road. He planned to move to the left, but initially he turned to the right, causing confusion. Now he had to reverse in the middle of the road to re-navigate to the left-hand side. You can look at him now. That's absent-mindedness by drivers. It's another challenge on the road. When drivers are thinking, or maybe they are having emotional pressure, thinking of some things, or they are daydreaming, their minds are not on the road. So sometimes the action they are supposed to take, they don't take. Because driving is a complex work. You have to use your eyes, you have to use your nose, you have to use your ears to gather information, use your brain to interpret, and use your hands and legs to apply the information. And it requires 100% concentration.
Being enlightened on the road rules and avoiding mistakes that can lead to accidents will make safer roads. There are also some habits that can lead to accidents. It may appear ordinary, but it is highly dangerous. So if it means hearing the same tips over and over again, why not? Here are some tips. There are many ways to drive safely, but here are some of the most important ones you can imbibe to keep you and others safe on the road. Observe and obey all speed limits. Think of it as a limit, not a target. Keep a safe distance from the vehicle in front. Driving too close behind another vehicle can cause road traffic accidents. On the expressway, if you can clearly read the plate number of the car in front of you, then you are too close. Do not use your mobile phone while driving. Mobile phone use is a big cause of accidents, and using it while driving is illegal. Hands-free mobile devices should be avoided, as talking can also be a major distraction. Do not drink and drive. Driving often requires split-second decisions. Even a small quantity of alcohol will impair one's reaction time and increase the possibility of road accidents. Take extra care in the dark or raining weather. Your driving should change according to the weather. Ensure your headlamps are functional. Wear a seatbelt even before driving off. Seatbelt will keep you in place and may even save your life in the event of an accident. Be watchful and look after your eyes. Paying attention to everything around you will help you spot potential hazards. Your eyes are arguably the most important you have for driving safely. Take note, the health of your eyes is very important. Drive to live. Driving requires a lot of attention. It is not as easy as just knowing how to drive, but mentally, physically, and emotional balance is required to drive. Do the needful and play your part for the safety of all. This concludes the episode this week. You can send a mail to roadmatters@nta.ng. Until the next episode, I am Fatima Umar. Be good on the road so the road can be good to you. Bye-bye.
No vex, Aisha. Coronavirus still dey town.
So you no go still follow us play again? Abeg, wetin be dis, Lara? Life don turn normal now.
But people still dey sick. Some dey even die for this COVID matter.
Lara dey correct for the matter.
So now wetin we go do? Make we dey use soap dey take wash our hands for at least 20 seconds. As we dey wash am, make we dey sing the happy birthday song 2 times for our imaginary friends. When we dey outside with people, make we dey leave space between una sef at least 6 feet. We suppose dey wear face mask if we dey outside. And if person cough or sneeze, make dem dey bend their elbow or use tissue and throway am well. And abeg my padi, e better make una sit down for house if una no need comot.
But e dey tire person to dey stay for inside house every day. E no bam.
Kanayo, how you go feel if you catch the virus as you dey play for yard? Come give your papa, mama, your brothers and sisters dem.
You dey correct, Lara. You know what am?
Make we form one squad, come call am Operation Run Out Coronavirus. We go do all the preventive measures wey officials don put in place and encourage everybody make dem do the same thing.
Roger that.
We want to talk about rights, there are obligations. I'm not saying that this government is a saint, it's very far from it. but there are things that we can do to make it better, and that's the challenge I'm throwing to you. You don't want to build this nation? I don't know where else you want to go. If I had a choice, I'll come back. When I stand outside and I hear what you have to say about this country that I know that I can die for as one, then I'm really sad because you're young. You have education, you have tools, you have a huge future ahead of you, and you're condemning yourself before you started on that journey. So please don't do that. Please don't.
Hello and welcome to News at 10 on NTA News 24. We are live in Abuja, the nation's capital. I am Nolin Ebel Ame. Let's begin with the headlines. President Buhari heads to Saudi Arabia for investment conference to also perform Lesser Hajj. Nigerians eagerly await launch of e-Naira letter today. Oyo jailbreak, federal government vows to recapture all ex-EPs inmates. And now to the news. President Muhammadu Buhari will today, Monday, October 21st, 2021, depart for Riyadh, Saudi Arabia to participate in the investment conference organized by the Future Investment Initiative Institute. The president will be joined at the 5th edition of the event by business executives from Nigeria, bankers, captains of industry and energy experts to discuss issues on the future of investments across the globe. The three-day event with the theme Investment in Humanity will host global executives and asset managers and deliberate on progress and prosperity in energy, true final frontiers in investments, science in action, and impact of climate change on communities, among others. Before returning to the country on Friday, President Buhari will perform the Lesser Hajj in Medina and Mecca. The Minister of Interior says manhunt for the escapee inmates of the Abolongo Custodial Center in Oyo State Town will be intensified until all inmates are back in custody. This was during an on-the-spot assessment of the facility attacked by a non-gunman on Friday night. Ayomiku Ajibola has details.
Accompanied by the Comptroller General, Nigeria Correctional Service, Minister of Interior Rauf Aregbesola, while inspecting the level of damage done by gunmen during the attack on the Custodial Center, declared that the federal government will strengthen security at the correctional service centers to combat security challenges confronting them. Security men, according to the minister, will pursue and recapture all inmates who escaped from the Abolongo Custodial Center of the Nigerian Correctional Service, saying their release is a breach of national security. He also stressed that the act portrays clear danger for the society.
All the security agencies in the country are on their trail. We shall not rest or tire until we bring the last one in, dead or alive.
We don't have any high-profile inmate. The only person we have is that person who has a case with EFCC. And for your information, he's still with us here.
We have recaptured 378 inmates out of 907 inmates. The number at large is 460 inmates.
On the effort to rebuild the damaged part of the facility, the minister noted that he has directed the the Nigerian Correctional Service to immediately begin remediation work. Meanwhile, Governor Seyi Makinde was also at the Abolongo Correctional Center, Oyo, to assess the extent of damage done on the facility.
We're going to position camera here and we will link it back to our security situation room.
The state government, according to him, has directed security agencies to deploy personnel to critical national assets within the state and to monitor all entrance and exit points across the state. In Ibadan, Ayomiku Ajibola, NTA News.
And still on security, Ebonyi State Police Command says attack on Uwana Divisional Headquarters in Afikpo North Local Government area at about 3 o'clock in the early hours of Sunday has been successfully repelled. In a statement signed by the Police Public Relations Officer Lovett Oda, the attackers, numbering about 35 and suspected to be members of IPOB and ESN, shot sporadically at the policemen on duty who responded promptly, leading to the death of one of the attackers and recovered AK-47 rifles and other incriminating items, with many of the hoodlums who are on the run critically injured. Though the police facility and operational vehicles are intact, regrettably, according to the statement, one police inspector attached to the division was fatally injured. Meanwhile, the Commissioner of Police, Ebonyi State Command, CP Aliu Garba, has since embarked on an on-the-spot assessment of the division, ordering a manhunt for the fleeing hoodlums and appealed to law-abiding citizens of the state to promptly volunteer useful information that will assist the command in the investigation. The statement adds that investigation reveals that the deceased suspect had been on the police wanted list for various attacks on police stations, and one of the recovered AK-47 rifles was being identified to be the rifle stolen from Ahoku Police Division early this month. The Nigerian Army Education Corps Second National Summit 2021 has provided an opportunity for participants to discuss challenges bordering on educational development and national security. Emir of Argungu, Samaila Muhammad Mira, stated this at the closing of the three-day summit in Sokoto. Shehu Muhammad Datti reports.
The monarch said the summit proffered workable and achievable solutions to identified problems which would assist in national security. He expressed optimism that the outcome of the summit shall assist surmount the contemporary challenges facing the education sector and maintain the corporate existence of the country. Samaila Mera maintained that the contemporary security challenges are injurious to national economy, necessitating joint effort and synergy to mitigate these challenges. Co-Commander Education Major General Muhammad Lawal Augi noted that it is through education that one learns to think critically and find solutions to human challenges. General Augi emphasized that security, economic, social, and political stability of the nation depends on the provision and delivery of quality education. The co-commander expressed the belief that the book to be produced from the 2 papers and 10 lectures delivered at the summit will serve as working documents to assist in the development of Nigeria's education.
The Nigerian Army Education has always been proactive in its task of providing quality education to our children.
High point at the occasion was question and answer session as well as presentation of awards to deserving personalities. In Sokoto, Shehu Muhammad Datti, NTA News.
In other news, operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency have apprehended a 35-year-old nursing mother at the Edo State Command headquarters of the agency while trying to smuggle 13 grams of Lord cannabis sativa into the cell for a suspect in custody. The substance was concealed inside cassava balls meal, better known as akpu, meant for the suspect, also a relation. The 35-year-old is one of the 10 suspects arrested during nationwide operations by the NDLEA, which also led to the seizure of over 2,060 kilograms of illicit substances, with Edo State recording the highest seizure of 1,705.7 kilograms of cannabis. Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Raji Fashola, says efforts to tackle unemployment and social inclusion will yield results when there are concerted efforts between federal and state governments to deliver affordable housing schemes to the citizens. He stated this at the National Council on Lands, Housing and Rural Development meeting in Lagos. Musa Toliad reports.
Addressing housing deficit has become a major concern as Nigeria's population continues to grow in leaps and bounds. Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Raji Fashola, told participants that when the commitment of the federal government to providing affordable houses is complemented by state governments, more jobs can be created and those in the built sector will remain relevant in business.
The day that our rent obligation moves closely or becomes equal to our income receipt, that I can pay my rent at the end of every month when I get my salary, this place will be a fairer place. It is a source of inequality and we can do a lot to reduce it. All state legislators must see this as an important area of representation of their people to make life easier.
Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu hinted the gathering that Lagos is already implementing the recommendations of the last meeting with various housing projects delivered in some parts of the state. He, however, called on federal governments to grant Lagos State a special urban planning status to further boost provision of affordable housing development in the state.
Our goal will be to ensure that the state government meets the housing needs of its citizens in respect of your location. We believe that there should be an improved collaboration with the federal government through Federal Ministry of Works and Housing on the allocation, issuance of approvals and clearances for fiscal development in Lagos.
The National Council on Lands, Housing and Rural Development meeting in Lagos has the theme Housing Development as a Catalyst for Job Creation, Social Inclusion and Economic Development. In Lagos, Musa Toliad, NTA News.
Residents and road users in Gwarimpa Estate have appealed to the Federal Capital Territory Authority to, as a matter of concern, address the recurrent challenge posed by potholes littering the access gate and causing untold hardship to the people. While this story by Ilyas Onotsi Yakubu shall come later in Moving on. This is the news at 10 on NTA News 24. Ahead in the news, Nigerians eagerly await launch of e-Naira later today. Stay with us.
This is NTA News 24 broadcasting from Abuja. You can watch us anywhere, anytime on the following platforms. For more information, log on to our website www.nta.ng or join us on our social media handles, Facebook at NTA News 24.
For comments, suggestions and inquiries, send an email to news24@nta.gov.ng or call us on the following numbers.
NTA News 24, news and more news.
Thank you for staying with us on the news at 10 on NTA News 24. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, accuses London-based newspaper The Economist of bias in its assessment of the security situation in Nigeria. In a statement, the presidential advisor agrees that The Economist is correct in noting that Nigeria faces 4 key threats to the stability and prosperity of the nation, namely ISWAP, Boko Haram, terrorism in the northeast, kidnapping and crime in the northwest, header-farmer disputes in the Central Belt and the delusions of IPOB terrorists in the southeast. He also agrees that The Economist is accurate to state that the situation has come to a head under President Buhari and the All Progressives Congress APC administration. Garba Shehu, however, explains that it is because for so long, under previous administrations, whether military or democratic, tough decisions were docked and challenges never fully tackled, with the effect of abetting these dangers and allowing them all to fester and grow. He affirms that today all four threats are being fought concurrently, and it is only this administration that has finally showed the will and determination to confront them. The Buhari administration has sought to push back terrorism, which has been a threat for more than 2 decades since the first emergence of Boko Haram. It is only the Buhari administration that has now sought to intervene against the kidnapping and banditry that has been a simmering threat for far long. It is also known it is only this president that has taken on IPOB, the violent terrorist group which bombs police stations and offices of security agencies, while also threatening those who break their Monday sit-ins and claiming the mantle of forebears who have a century fought a civil war. It is also only the Buhari leadership which has sought ever in over 100 years to identify the root causes of the header-farmer clashes and find durable solutions. Today, Shehu says the military is engaged in almost all the states of Nigeria because the president has insisted on addressing these perennial issues during this time in office. The Economist opinionated in its report on banditry and kidnapping in the Northwest, while this has been smearing and generations, for it is the newest of the organized threats Nigeria faces to her stability. The presidential aide notes that this too was accurately described by The Economist. Bandits who have the resources and technology to shut down military fighter jet are not bandits at all, but rather highly organized crime syndicates with huge resources and weaponry. Yet, they are essentially no different to Boko Haram in this regard that is now cornered. Garba Shehu assures that it will take time, but the president is unwavering in his determination to collapse this challenge to public order. African Development Bank has signed a grant agreement of $500,000 to be used for a study into economic, religious, and social factors hampering access to finance for women in northern Nigeria, as experts lend their voices to the prospect of digital currency to be unveiled today. Details with Alika Okpanachi Arua.
The $500,000 research will be geared towards a feasibility study, women-focused design and testing on both agents and customers to provide insight into women's use of mobile money services, and will be funded through the African Digital Financial Inclusion Facility. African Development Bank Director of Financial Sector Development, Stefan Nalenteba, says the African Development Bank, through the African Digital Financial Inclusion Facility, is delighted to support the project in furthering the effort to improve the quality of life for people in Nigeria and contribute to the Sustainable Development Goals, particularly as it relates to poverty and gender inclusion. And as the federal government is set to unveil the e-Naira today, experts say the development is a milestone in the evolution of the Nigerian currency, which will enhance seamless financial transactions as well as boost financial inclusion.
When Nigeria launches the e-Naira, it makes Nigeria to be at par with the rest of the world, because the whole world is now information-based, is e-commerce and e-currency. everything about Nigerian currency will be digital. And it also helped the budgetary process. It also helped transparency. It will also be able to let the government trace the transactions, monetary transactions, digitally.
With Business News, Alika Opanachi, Arua.
Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari will at noon formally unveil the e-Naira. But what do you know about the central bank's digital currency? Well, it is the first to be issued in Africa, and already the Central Bank of Nigeria has issued guidelines for its usage in the context of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. Leah Katunba Batunde reports that Nigerians are eagerly waiting.
Monetary authorities around the world have been adapting to changes largely driven by technology. Now, just some years back, no one thought that these changes were going to come this fast. But thanks to coronavirus that came in 2019, it has changed the pattern in which we do our financial transactions, and perhaps forever.
Technology became the driver of growth this time last year in Nigeria and all over the world. The digital space has proven that you do not need to move around with wads of cash. But how knowledgeable are Nigerians about the e-Naira?
There are currencies that are stored in banking computers.
Well, it's just like this our normal physical Naira, but in an online form.
It is a welcome development for those in the financial services and fintech space, considering the cost of managing cash and the push for transparency and stability in the money market.
Operationalizing the e-wallet, I will just give us like some step-by-step processes. You need to identify a participating bank that you will request a code from to activate your e-Naira account. Then upon that, you can now do a transfer from your regular account, bank account, to your e-Naira, which is exactly the same thing you can do, which is what we call bank to wallet or wallet to bank. The same thing e-Naira is going to be doing for you.
The e-Naira will play a complementary role to the paper Naira currency, and the CBN says it will come with a lower cost of transaction and help improve financial inclusion. In Abuja, Leah Katimba Batunde, NTA News.
Now, if you like the tech, then take it. This is a scenario that played out at the 41st edition of GITEX, held at the World Trade Center in Dubai, where over 200 startups and innovators redefined the latest trends and showcased innovations from across the globe. ICT correspondent Joseph Johnson tells us what Nigerians startups showcased at the World Trade Center in Dubai.
Every stand you see in this building has something unique to offer, particularly to solve a certain problem. From AI to 5G, quantum computing, immersive marketing, fintech, blockchain, cybersecurity, the list seems inexhaustible.
The Nigerian startups also came bearing solutions to some problems with their innovative products, as they engaged stakeholders in the prospects and what their technologies portend for the nearest future.
Farmers in Africa are faced with the problem of financial exclusion. So we created AgriCoin to solve that problem by partnering with the major stakeholders within the agricultural value chain.
Basically, Breathing Space seeks to provide online mental health services. We know that right now in Nigeria, 1 in 4 Nigerians are suffering from this outcome. So Breathing Space seeks to provide access to support and counseling services.
My product is Chopwork Marketplace. At Chopwork, we're trying to solve 2 major problems. The first problem is unemployment.
Allow Invest is a digital platform to access ethical financial products and services.
Toll is a transportation app whereby we're able to solve the problem of one chance, as it's popularly called in Nigeria.
So EduVR is a virtual reality solution for education that allows students to visualize what they are being taught in the classroom, changing the narrative.
As they share ideas, learn and unlearn, the hope expressed here is that technology should be driven in such a way that it makes the world so much a better place. From the World Trade Center in Dubai, Joseph Johnson, NTA News.
And back home, still talking about technology, the Director General and Chief Executive Officer of the National Biotechnology Development Agency, NABDA, Professor Abdullahi Mustafa, has called on journalists to promote the importance of genetically modified organism, GMO, for socio-economic development of the country. The Director General was speaking in Yola during a retreat organized for the media, farmers and extension agents on agricultural biotechnology practice. Tafawa Hamza Mayo reports.
The aim of the training is to provide accurate and up-to-date information about advances in the biotechnology sector since its adoption in Nigeria in order to ensure that the media are fully acquainted with facts and effectively disseminate same to the public. Worried by misunderstanding in the face opposition from anti-genetically modified groups, the Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer, National Biotechnology Development Agency, Professor Abdullahi Mustafa, among other development partners, said they must bring journalists, farmers and extension agents up to speed with development in biotechnology sector and how such changes can improve lives and general well-being of Nigerians.
Over the years, armchair critics have taken advantages of the media to propagate unscientific views and opinion that not only stalled our agricultural progress, but also instill fear in our farming communities.
Stories about science, scientific progress, because the scientists work very hard, but yet they're hardly appreciated. So in order not to have biotechnology stories treated as unimportant, efforts should be made to sensitize the reporters.
To the participants, the workshop is timely and promise to pass the message appropriately.
Genetically modified organism product that it doesn't kill, it doesn't harm to people.
And then my role as a journalist, being expected inside, is to be able to right the wrongs.
It is a training that will lift agriculture to a limelight.
The retreat drew participants from the Northeast Geopolitical Zone in Yola. Tafawa Hamza Mayo, NTA News.
All right, the 27th edition of the Nigerian Economic Summit is underway in Abuja. We move now to the Congress Hall where Benny Adams is standing to give us updates on the summit. Benny, can you give us an intro to that?
I'm pleased to be with you today at the 27th Nigerian Economic Summit. Let me join in welcoming my brother, the former Prime Minister of Ethiopia, His Excellency Haile Mariam Desalegn Boshe. Thank you for such an insightful and highly informative speech. The annual summit is a testimony to the joint commitment of government and the private sector to the rapid and value-driven development of Nigeria. I commend the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Plan and the Nigerian Economic Summit Group for sustaining this partnership and dialogue over the past 27 years. The outcomes of past summits have contributed positively to an improved policy environment and better governance over the years. This particular gathering is an important one because it gives us a good opportunity to review the developments in the economy since the last summit, which took place at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, to share perspectives on ongoing actions to reposition the economy and to make recommendations for the future so that Nigerians can thrive and prosper. The theme for this year's summit, Securing Our Future, the fierce urgency of now, is a compelling one. It stresses the importance of taking timely action to tackle existing problems, while at the same time urging that we take immediate steps to cope with or benefit from domestic and global trends in order to achieve our desired national goals and objectives. To start with, the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted negatively on our economic and social life, with far-reaching implications for our national development aspirations. The socio-economic impact of this health shock was of such a magnitude that could have set our progress back by a generation, with severe implications for security and national well-being. In the second quarter of 2020, the economy fell by -6.1%, and the drop of activities in sectors like transportation, hospitality, and construction was of the order of magnitude of over -40%. The shock caused by the pandemic, which is still very much with us, was at a time that Nigeria, as a developing economy, is striving to become a digital economy so that we can leapfrog into the fourth industrial revolution. As if this was not a challenge enough, we're also required, as a good member of the international community, to take steps to mitigate and to adapt to climate change. This is not a simple matter. If we bear in mind that we're reliant on oil and gas for revenues and export earnings, and yet reducing the use of fossil fuels is the frontline strategy being urged for achieving net zero carbon emissions by 2050. The need for urgent action is even more pressing if we take account of the fact that we are now part of the African Continental Free Trade Area and the agreements, which calls for actions to position the economy to benefit from the opportunity that this regional integration grouping presents, while at the same time protecting our industries and businesses from unfair competition. Nigeria is projected to have the third highest population in the world by 2050. Our increasing food, energy, infrastructure, health, and education needs would require fast growth. Yet, unlike growth in the now developed economies, these needs will have to be met in a sustainable manner, which remains to all intents and purposes an unknown path. Given these developments and circumstances, it is clear then that we have to act urgently on several fronts if we are to attain our national development objectives and secure the future of our nation. The federal government is responding to the challenges and opportunities of the moment by articulating forward-looking policies and strategies and implementing the coherent, clear, and consistent set of actions in order to achieve our desired objectives. The Economic Sustainability Plan, adopted in response to the economic crisis caused by the pandemic, was centered on tackling and reducing the COVID-19 caseload, restoring growth, protecting and creating jobs, rescuing businesses, and reducing social vulnerabilities. These were in addition to priority actions that were already being taken under the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan to invest in social and human capital, build power, road and rail infrastructure,
Well, that was Vice President Emil Shibaji representing President Muhammadu Buhari at the 27th edition of the Nigerian Economic Summit here in Abuja. We now join Benny Adams, who will tell us more on this. All right, I'm told we are going to take a break and we will join Benny later.
This is the network service of the NTA.
If your sum total is a mustard seed, then nurture it, water it, grow it into that tree in your rainforest. We will be highlighting one of the prevalent social issues in our society. That we love and trust, and by people that are strangers. I am your addiction, that suction. I suck you in while you spill out your insides. I ask what is on your mind. I am that update, that tweet, that comment, that story. Your life seems to depend on me. As you awake, you reach for me. In the shower, I am close. I make your face-to-face conversations an endangered species. As your face is buried in me, I am. I am Twitter, Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram. I invade your world, permeate your sphere. I will connect you on the virtual and virtually disconnect you from the real. I am. Where are the members of this committee? Have they been abducted by aliens? Aliens is code for social media. Whatever happened to going over the agenda of a meeting in hard copy, talking about the issues face to face, thrashing out stuff eyeball to eyeball? Let me tell you what's happening. Wale wants to Skype from Trinidad. Mr. Coca wants to FaceTime from California. Francis wants a WhatsApp video chat from Vancouver. And Mecca wants to Zoom meeting from Orlando. Whatever happened to sitting down next to each other and observing body language unaltered by technology? Virtual meetings are taking over. Human relationships are dying a slow death. We have a ton of virtual friends and no actual real friends. We belong to networks, communities, groups, all virtual. Did you know that spending more than 2 hours on social media can adversely affect your mood? You know what? This one got me. Because we're all guilty of checking statuses on WhatsApp, checking how many likes our photos have gotten on Facebook and Instagram. Every 30 seconds, we're tweeting about the issues. That's the crux of our show today. Stay tuned. Welcome to Our Reality with Sky. On today's episode, we will be highlighting a prevalent societal issue, the cons of social media. And joining us in the studio today is Paitha, who is an artist by night and a digital marketer by day. Welcome.
Thanks for the invite, Sky. I feel really honored to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. So tell us a little about what you do.
Okay, so what we do basically is markets, but then we do it digitally. So
wow.
It's like an online avenue to market businesses, and that includes social media.
Okay.
And as part of it, they are a lot more involved in it. But then, regarding the discussion for today, let's just leave everything on social media.
Okay.
All right.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. So when you were saying, what do you do really when you say social media? Do you manage people's Instagram pages? What do you do? Just tell us a little bit about that, and then how much time you spend on social media.
Well, what we do for businesses on social media is, for companies that are finding it hard to manage their profile on social media, especially Instagram, which enables easy access for business to get to reach their consumers. yeah, we manage their account, manage their profile, create content for them.
Nice.
And help them ensure that their business gets to reach their targeted audience. So, and that might include doing adverts and all those type of stuff. But there's a lot involved in it, so I'm not going to divulge.
Oh, well, we'd like to know. Okay, if you won't tell us that, tell us how many hours you spend on social media every day.
On the average, I spend about 15 hours.
What?
Yeah.
That's a lot of time.
Well, yeah. Well, like, I'm working. It's work for me, so, and at the same time, it's fun, of course, but like, anything that's work is really not fun, so, for real. So I do it for work, it's not for fun.
Okay.
But then I catch fun when I'm doing it, so 15 hours might sound like too much, but like, it doesn't really even, it even feels like it's not enough, but then what I'm doing there makes a lot of sense to me, so that's why I have to stay there, because that's my community, that's my hub.
But
that's where I work. That's like my office. So if I tell you that I'm in the office working for 15 hours, you wouldn't fight me for that, would you?
No, I wouldn't.
Because I'm doing my job.
Right.
So I'm on social media doing my job for 15 hours, and is that bad?
No, it's not. It's not. It's not. But you know, people talk about the cons of social media. You know, trolls, cyber bullying, scams, that sort of stuff. What do you have to say about that?
You know, I have to start with the fact that social media is relatively new to the human existence compared to every other thing. Then it takes time for them to understand how this is work. It's alien to us, most especially.
Right.
So I can understand the quote-unquote hate or the disregard for social media and other stuff. So, yeah, there are this negative stuff you mentioned, but then do we not experience these things with human beings too? Like you mentioned in your poem, that or was it in your poem? I think at the beginning of the show you said spending
a lot of time on social media. Yeah.
Spending, you said 2 hours of it.
Yes.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
With on social media can affect your mood. But
adversely, yeah.
Does dealing with humans for that amount of time not affect your mood as well?
Good point. Good point. Yeah.
And at the same time, anything can affect your mood, for real. So it's your environment, basically.
Right.
My point especially is that social media is not as bad as it seems. I know I use it to my advantage.
Right.
Is any other person using it to their advantage? Are they just there to be spectators, or they are contributing something to the social media community?
Right.
When I'm on there, I'm working, and by that I mean that
you're being productive.
I'm being productive. I can't tell you that 100% of the time I'm productive. Really, there are times I just go there and catch phone too.
Right.
But then I go on social media. I check if to measure my metrics, because you have to calculate. You have to see the product of what you are doing on social media. Like I check my engagements, and by that I mean my likes, the comments, on Twitter, the retweets, the shares, and so on and so forth, and basically the engagement.
Right.
And I use that to measure the productivity of what I put on there.
Right.
So if I'm managing somebody's business now, if I'm managing somebody's business account on social media, these are the things I use to value to weigh my results rather.
Right.
So that makes sense to me. I can understand that social media could make you less productive if you really don't have anything to do there. If you are going there for fun, just do what you have to do. Give yourself a short period of time and just get off the internet. And it could also it has its own effect. But don't let me digress. Let's just get to the
right. So our viewers at home, Pytha is making us understand that social media can be really exciting. He's painting an amazing picture for me and for you. We'll let you ponder all he said, and we'll be right back. All right, earlier you said that you painted a beautiful photo of social media. You make it seem like this is work for you, and then while you're working you're having fun. So obviously there's you know how to balance social media. You know how to balance stuff. Tell us about trolls. Our viewers, trolls are people who go on sites, online communities, and premeditatedly incite or instigate people. So they say stuff that will rub you the wrong way. So let Pytha tell us what he thinks about trolls and, you know, the adverse effects on our lives.
Okay, first of all, you said I obviously know how to balance it. I won't tell you that I know how to balance it. I can't assure you of that. I mean, but then back to the topic, which is to talk about trolls. They're who they are. Like I don't know how to explain. I don't know how to explain somebody's. It's a behavior. I wouldn't even say it's just. Trolls don't even know they are trolls sometimes. Sometimes intentionally go on it. Sometimes people intentionally go on it. They're trying to catch crews and everybody just laughs at that. But then they go on and just begin saying insensitive stuff, or using insensitive stuff as jokes.
Right.
And I can understand what the other person at the end of the funnel might be feeling, but I don't take them seriously. Trolls are trolls. I don't even have the time to be focusing on what trolls are saying. I might be going through comments and laughing, but I never really had got trolled. And even if I did get trolled, I don't think I would really pay attention to them. I see them as the tout of the social media community, as compared to tout in real life. So if you know that this person doesn't deserve your time or your attention, why would you rather be answering them? You are not becoming the fool, because you can never fool a fool. And for reasons like this, I would advise that there should be like age limit or maturity like metric to make people access some certain social media platforms. Like in my own opinion, I feel like Facebook is for anybody. Like Facebook, you know how like for shows you go for concerts and there's like regular, there's VIP and there's VVIP.
Right.
And if I want to liken that to social media, I would say Facebook is like regular. I don't know if this might offend anybody, but like that's my truth. It's open to
being criticized.
Criticized now.
Right.
Then Instagram is the VIP, and then there's Twitter, which is the VVIP.
Oh.
So I would say if you're not smart enough now, what happens on Facebook? The quality of stuff there is just regular day stuff and basic. There are old people there. There are very young people, and so you wouldn't expect some certain things from there. Then Instagram, you see like pictures. Some people post almost half naked stuff, and if you're not mature enough, you shouldn't be there.
You say that. I feel, because you said that, the Facebook was, every day, Instagram VIP, and then Twitter VVIP. I personally feel that Facebook is for the realer folk.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instagram is now more for people who, because before I put a photo on it, initially I just did Facebook. And so, because I'm a very real person,
you
I'll just
yourself, this picture is Instagram worthy.
Yes, you have to do that. Because, and I even find myself sometimes going back to my IG page and deleting some photos because you see stuff on the explore page and you're like, what? Then I find Twitter for people who just really are cerebral and want to talk. Well, I see your point where you're saying the demographic is, I think the Gen X are more Facebook, and then Instagram is more, a lot more contemporary, and then the much younger millennials are doing, yes. So I'm right when I say that, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Sure.
We've talked about trolls, and then let's talk about hacking, because that's a major demerit of social media. And for our viewers, when we say hacking, we're saying when people can access
blame the developers of these platforms have done their part by making it private enough for you, making you create passwords and making everything still go back to your mail so that you can do anything. And there's something they call two-factor authentication. So without your authorization, nobody can have access to your account without, you must have given out some information before somebody can have access. So you must have been careless in some sort of way before this could happen. And if you want to talk about cyber fraud, all these things happen, and this happens in real life too. So we can't necessarily blame social media for things that we still have fault from our end for.
Okay. I was talking to somebody who he was enlightening me about the deep, dark web. He says it's a different kind of web for people who are techie, more professional people. Yeah. It's not the www that we know. Okay. And he's saying that as long as you have a laptop or a computer, people can access whatever information is on there. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's really crazy, and it was very scary for me. In fact, talking to him, I was like, you know what? Am I sure I'm in good hands with this person? So, what about distractions for social media?
Distraction, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
I won't even argue that. Like, there's something they call executive dysfunction.
Okay.
And by executive dysfunction, it means that if you have the chance, you can read further on it. Like, you lose some core part of you. Like, you become disorganized. You can't even manage your time well. You can't plan your things well. You just want to, your plan is to do this thing, and then you just don't know. But one way or the other, and I'm talking about in relation to social media, and one way or the other, you just grab the phone and check this thing. You don't even know what you're looking for there. It's not as if you have anything to go do there.
I think that has a lot to do with fear of being left out. Right?
Sometimes you don't even you don't know these things.
Okay.
It just happens unconsciously. It's because you're used to it, and that's when addiction comes in. So, and part of this thing, the traits that comes with that could be executive dysfunction. You become so disorganized.
Right.
You can't even plan your time. Right? You miss appointments. You can't even organize things in your life as they ought to be.
Right.
And yeah, that's the thing, and that's why you have to manage it. You have to find time to balance everything. No matter how good anything is, you have to still always find time to, just take breaks. You should take break from social media, whether it's for work or anything. There should be time where you just take a break from it.
So as the professional, how much, let's put a time to the break. Let's make it more, a dosage. How much time are we talking? So if I spend 10 to 15 hours, how much break do you recommend?
Well, during the weekend, I don't do anything at all with social media. I try not to do anything with social media at all. Right. So I focus on other stuff.
Right.
Still on the internet, but just so that you can build yourself from there. You can build yourself on other things rather than just being on social media, because it's work. I'm working to the end of Friday, so and I'm not working on Friday, on Saturday, and Sunday, so I should do something else. The 48 hours I have should not be time spent entirely on social media.
Nice.
And that's just it.
Nice.
That's how you could deal with it.
So I like that. I like that he's telling us that he takes time away from social media, even though it's his work. So for those of us that are not working directly with social media, imagine that. We should take breaks away from that. Ponder that. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Paitha is in the studio with us, and he's making us see the merits of social media. We started with the show by talking about the demerits, and then he's making it seem like we can balance stuff out. So if we do stuff in moderation, we'll be okay regarding social media. What other words or pearls of wisdom do you have for us regarding social media? Because it's a whole different take to the show now. I love it.
Okay. Well, firstly, it exposes me to brand community, like a different community and I see the way people handle things, and that way that inspires me to do something. Like, I get inspiration from there, basically. One.
Okay.
Also, I could make friends. and you don't know what might happen from there.
Have you made any real friend? You know, somebody that you met on social media and then the person turned out to be amazing. Because I have a story for you. I know a friend who met a guy. She was looking for love. I don't believe, maybe I shouldn't say it, but I didn't believe that it was possible for her to actually find love. And she's married to this guy, and she's happily married to this guy. And she found him on Facebook. So do you have any of such stories?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No. But then it remains there. You just keep the distance, but we know we're friends, and we could share ideas and stuff like that, and that's it.
Okay.
Also, I could. It gives you room to market yourself, your business, what you do.
Right.
Since the entire day, why social media is a good marketing tool is because the entire world is there now. Like, that's the new way.
Yeah, everyone is selling on Instagram.
In fact, that's what's cool now.
Everyone is selling on Instagram.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So being on social media is the cool thing. Since it's the cool thing, everybody wants to identify with it. Everybody's on there, and that's an avenue for you to market yourself, showcase what you do to the world. The entire world is there, so they can see you. They can see what, rather than just being in your small community and trying. How many persons can you market to? How many persons can you walk to market whatever you do?
Okay.
How many offices can you enter? So social media is the easiest avenue for that. What else? That's a few amongst what I can remember right now. But then there are a lot more involved. I mean, it could serve as cushion to life problems. You know, there are times when you're just so down and like real life is not funny, and you know things are not really. But
the entertainment there,
you just have to cool, blow up some steam sometimes. You know, that's just it. And that's. I feel like social media is not as bad as it's painted if you know how to manage it.
Nice, very well said. So all you're saying is that social media is not all bad. Yeah, so I'm seeing that, and what I'm hearing corely is that you feel like there should be moderation. Yeah, so you have to know when to take time out and then disconnect from social media for a while.
Yes.
I appreciate all that. We're excited that you came on the show. Your pearls of wisdom have been amazing. We've learned a lot. Thank you for coming on the show.
I feel like Solomon already. Nice being given this opportunity to come just express myself, and I'm really glad to be here too. So,
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So viewers, today that's our show. I hope you walk away knowing that social media is not all bad. Moderation is key. Thank you.
I never get this kind of thing, or I hear it.
There was this broadcast on Villa Updates, which I'm part of, and I got the information there that we should apply for survivor fund.
I thought it was a scam, but truly it wasn't a scam.
To my great surprise, we actually got a lot of 30,000. I have 5 staff, including the making 6. We got a lot of 30,000, like 3 weeks later. This is the first time I'm getting anything from this government. Even from past governments, I have never gotten anything from them.
It was a great relief for us because during the COVID-19, things were so tough.
I really thank the government for this great gesture because it has helped a lot.
When there's a child out there that's not getting the same that your own child is getting, the difference will tell, and there will come a time in the society where that child is going to take its pound of flesh.
Where you can actually, everything from watching a program with the child, you can start up the conversation from something on the TV and say, oh, you know.
Good morning, and here is the news update at 11. I am Nolin Ebel-Ame. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, accuses London-based newspaper The Economist of bias in its assessment of the security situation in Nigeria. In a statement, the presidential advisor agrees that The Economist is correct in noting that Nigeria faces 4 key threats to the stability and prosperity of the nation, namely ISWAP, Boko Haram terrorists in the northeast, kidnapping and crime in the northwest, header-farmer disputes in the central belt, and the delusions of IPOP terrorists in the southeast. He also agrees that The Economist is accurate to state that the situation has come to a head under President Muhammadu Buhari and the All Progressives Congress APC administration. Garba Shehu, however, explains that it is because for so long under previous administrations, whether military or democratic, tough decisions were docked and challenges never fully tackled, with the effect of abating these dangers and allowing them all to fester and grow. He affirms that today all 4 threats are being fought concurrently, and it is only this administration that has finally showed the will and determination to confront them. The Buhari administration has sought to push back terrorism, which has been a threat for more than 2 decades since the first emergence of Boko Haram. It is only the Buhari administration that has now sought to intervene against the kidnapping and banditry that has been a smearing threat for far long. It is only this president that has taken on IPOP, the violent terrorist group which bombs police stations and offices of security agencies, while also threatening those who break their Monday sit-in and claiming the mantle of phobias, who half a century ago fought a civil war. It is also only the Buhari leadership which has sought ever in over 100 years to identify the root causes of the header-farmer clashes and find durable solutions. Today, Shehu says the military is engaged in almost all the states of Nigeria because the president has insisted on addressing these perennial issues during his time in office. The Economist opinionated in its report on banditry and kidnapping in the Northwest. While this has been smearing for generations, it is the newest of the organized threats Nigeria faces to her stability. The presidential aide notes that this too was inaccurately described by The Economist. Bandits who have resources and technology to shut down a military fighter jet are not bandits at all, but rather highly organized crime syndicates with huge resources and weaponry. Yet they are essentially no different to Boko Haram in this regard that is now cornered. Garba Shehu assures that it will take time, but the president is unwavering in his determination to collapse this challenge to public order. That's the news update. Another update comes up at 1 p.m. Thank you for watching. I am Nolin Ebel-Ame.
This is the network service of the NTA.
Hello and welcome. This is Property and Style, your one-stop shop on everything real estate. Property and Style is a program that has been designed to ensure that you're empowered about everything that has to do with the built environment. It is coming to you from the network service of the NTA. My name is Patience Eloy Abba. Thank you for keeping a date with us.
Hello, my name is Engineer Mosu Jerry, and I am the CEO of Amaho Synergy Concept, and we are the first-class distributors of Golden Crown ceramic tiles. And as you can see with me here, we have all the different types of tiles. We have the 4101, which is the vitrified. We also have glazed, and we also have rustic. These are the three major designs you can find in the market, and here you will get it. And also we deal with all kinds of shapes and sizes. We have the 30 by 30, 25 by 40, 25 by 50, 60 by 60, and 40 by 40. Are you an estate developer? Are you someone that is looking for any kind of design? You can get us here. And where can you get us? Day here in Abuja. Our address is, we're located at number 6 Linksman Street, Building Materials Layout, Day. And our number is 090-860-60-234. I repeat, 090-860-60-234. And we will be happy to meet you here.
Welcome back. On today's episode of Property and Style, I'll be taking a look at some professionals, and I'm talking about some particular professionals, women in the built environment, women who are not just in the built environment, but they are bringing on their A game. You know how it is. When a woman wants to do something well, she does it extremely well. So today we'll be celebrating such women, and we'll be bringing you some very special event. Don't go away.
Question of the day.
Isn't construction for men? The simple answer is no. Women make up around 14% of the construction industry professionals, and this number can only be set to rise with more women choosing construction jobs. The misconceptions about gender-specific roles are gradually diminishing, with a growing number of women choosing a career in construction. In Nigeria, this male-dominated industry can still boast of some women who have done exceedingly well and have risen to the pinnacle of their chosen professions. Property and Style celebrate these trailblazers.
Well, I rose through hard work, through knowledge acquisition, through building up capacity, through showing commitment to my profession, through the state chapters, through the national, and then until I became the first female president of the Nigerian of Quantity Surveyors. I chose the profession because my interests actually laid in sciences. Yes, I was very good at sciences, and I had a choice to do either engineering, but my brother went into engineering before me, and my husband, then he was my boyfriend, was reading architecture, so I decided to go into another arm of the built environment, which is quantity surveying. But above all, I love dealing with figures, numbers, and so that really endeared me into the profession. It's a very good profession for national economic development, but unfortunately, in this country, quantity surveyors have not really been given the rightful place to contribute positively to economic development of this nation. Quantity surveyors are by training cost managers of infrastructure projects, building and engineering projects. And you find out that most public organizations don't even engage the services of quantity surveyors. Sometimes they rely on the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing. But, wow, what the optimal utilization will be when you have your own within you. Then you are able to utilize them anytime, anyhow. You know, the construction industry as a whole, we are still burdened with stereotyping for women. This industry is not for women. And some women have bought into this myth and have stayed away. Some started well, and somewhere along the road derailed because of this fear of this is not a, you know, it's a man's world. And if you have to integrate family with your office work, it's very difficult. Truly, it is difficult, but there's nothing in life that is easy. There's nothing easy, even managing what you have. It's not easy. And so people should stop looking for the easy way out of life. That's not the way I think God created the world. There are people who inherit wealth and they don't have to do anything. But they have other issues too. They have other challenges. There's nobody without challenges. And so, women in the built environment industry, we must brave it. We must surmount challenges. The most challenging issues are integrating family or juggling family with work. If you are not able to manage it well, truly your family will suffer or your work will suffer. So you just need a balance. And the way to get balance is proper organization of your schedules. Take care of your children, your husband. When you have time, spend with them, teach your children, make sure they go to good schools, you engage good teachers for them for home studies, and so on. At work, show seriousness, show commitment, and you will see that your boss, your employer, will always call upon you. I don't subscribe to women always giving excuses for not performing. You must have a reason to perform if you want to succeed in life. Look for a reason. People have succeeded. Women have succeeded. We have international organizations that are being headed by women. International. The Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors, one of the biggest that houses the built environment, had a woman as the head. The Federation of Surveyors had a woman as the head. The International Cost Engineering Council has a woman as a head. These are global, worldwide existing, you know. So there's no reason why Nigerian women cannot head professional organizations. It's a big problem for Nigeria. And we've been hearing about 17 million houses deficit for years. I'm so glad that at the last Redan Expo, the World Bank is working with Redan and some other, I think UNDP also, to really come out with the statistics, and maybe Bureau for Statistics also, to come up with the real housing deficit statistics. We cannot solve, we've tried for years, and it doesn't appear that much is being done to close this gap, which means there must be a paradigm shift. The business as usual approach has not worked, and whenever you try an approach and it doesn't work, you must strategize on other approaches. I know the Federal Mortgage Bank now has started an initiative of equity contribution 0%, and they reduced from 10% to. This is commendable. And there has to be more awareness so that people can key into it. I want the government or the private sector that are interested in this to even define what affordable is, categorize it into the different levels of affordability. That will be the beginning. And the statistics, once we have it there, you cannot plan without statistics. How many people are earning below certain level, minimum wage? Let's even start with the minimum wage. How many 30,000? How many people earn 30,000? Around 30,000. How many earn from there to 100 and so on? Then when you know the statistics, your planning will take care of this. And we know that there's always an increase in population, so it's not even static. It will just be the beginning.
NTA Properties Investment Company Limited, a subsidiary of the Nigerian Television Authority, specializes in creating comfort in all areas of life, such as real estate investments, that is, land, houses, and office spaces, mass leasing, savings and loan scheme, and so much more. Other information and entertainment services include Property in Style, a TV program that airs on the network service of the NTA, and also Property Connect, a nationwide magazine. Our priority is to bridge poverty gaps and sustain quality welfare of our clients. Partner with us and watch us help you grow. Pay us a visit today at the NTA headquarters permanent site, Area 11 Gariki, Abuja, or our Lagos office at number 15 Awolowo Road, Ikoyi, Lagos. For more information, visit our website on www.ntaproperties.com.ng, or you can email us on ntap2000@yahoo.com. Call us on 0066417900. NTA Properties Investment Company Limited, the much needed help at your doorstep.
When you begin to observe that your walls or your floors are wet or damp, and sometimes you see dampness marks on the walls, and if it's a long-term issue, you would discover peeling of paint. You could also observe bubbling that is swelling of some sections of the plaster or the paint. Sometimes it could show in the form of cracks. So most of these signs are telltale signs of a water seepage problem in a building. Water seepage or dampness in walls in a building are usually caused by movement of water upwards from the ground or from the surrounding ground surface, external ground surface. So where, in cases where you have, or in areas where you have the groundwater is high up, you find that water, what they call water capillarity, water begins to move through tiny crevices or holes in the ground and up through your foundation, through your block working foundation, right through to begin to show on the superstructure. Normally they call the foundation is the substructure. That is what you don't see that is under the ground. The problem starts from under the ground, comes up to your superstructure, which is what we can see with our eyes, and then it begins to rise gradually because water, like they say in local parlance, will always find its way. So that's the major cause of water seepage, when your groundwater level is high up and it begins to, and it's not properly taken care of, this water begins to find its way up on the walls of your structure. Mechanical works, like you said, plumbing, it's when not properly done, where you have water passing through pipes, some basically or most times are joints where you have T's and bends linking up to some other directions. You find leakages in those pipes, and that will begin to, of course, show on the walls. Most times you find, for instance, from your bathroom, where you have a leaking pipe or a leaking tap, it begins to seep into the wall and it will show on the opposite side. Maybe behind that bathroom is a bedroom wall. You begin to see that dampness on your wall in the bedroom or whatever wall is adjoining the bathroom or the wet area. Those are wet areas like the bathroom, the kitchen, the laundry areas, and all of that. And then also, plumbing also in aspect like the floor drains, where water is supposed to flow, go through the floor drain and into the waste pipes provided, or the sockaway or the public waste system, that's the sewers. When the floor drains are not clear for water to pass through properly, they begin to, this water will find its way through the floor crevices, maybe the tiling edges. They begin to just find ways into that and then show up in other places of the building. First, to the humans, some people have allergies. Some people, they react to damp walls. When water keeps mixing with this cement and all of that, you find some children having allergies, or even some grown-up, some adults. So outside that, when your walls are continuously or continually exposed to water, it's weakening the system. It could lead to structural failure. So it's an issue that is critical in the construction industry, not allowing your structure to continually be exposed to wetness. First and foremost, You have a building construction project you want to engage in. You seek the services of professionals in the building industry. You have your surveyed plan, then you take possession of your site. Now, at first instance, there are likelihoods that your site could be waterlogged. Now, from the design stage, your architect and your structural engineer should come together and design first a foundation that would adequately, that can sit comfortably without problems on that kind of site. When that is done, that in itself doesn't take care of the problem. But when you have done your designs and you are ready for implementation, you go to site, you begin to dig your foundation. And if you had done your soil test, depending on the kind of building that was going to come up on that site, if you had done soil tests and you realize that there is a serious case of groundwater seeping to the surface, then you would consider introducing what we call a French drain system around your building. A French drain is a system where it's a system of pipes, perforated pipes that would collect surrounding water underground around your foundation walls. These perforated pipes can be placed when you have dug the channel for this French drain. You dig the channel, let's say around a square building, you dig round the building, you place your perforated, you place boulders, what they call hardcore stones. You place your pipes on them, perforated on 3 sides, not on the bottom side. Or, well, depends on how you want to do it. You place them on the hardcore, then you put hardcore over them again, pour some kind of sand or stone dust on it so that surrounding mud does not block those holes. Now, the work of these perforated pipes is to collect surrounding water into the pipes, and then you direct it away from the building. Once you have done that and the capacity of your pipes are tangible enough, you take care of the initial problem where you have water from the groundwater seeping upwards.
Hello, my name is Engineer Mosu Jerry, and I am the CEO of Amaho Synergy Concept, and we are the first-class distributors of Golden Crown ceramic tiles. And as you can see with me here, we have all the different types of tiles. We have the 4101, which is the vitrified. We also have glazed, and we also have rustic. These are the 3 major designs you can find in the market, and here you will get it. And also we deal with all kinds of shapes and sizes. We have the 30 by 30, 25 by 40, 25 by 50, 60 by 60, and 40 by 40. Are you an estate developer? Are you someone that is looking for any kind of design? You can get us here. And where can you get us? Day here in Abuja. Our address is, we're located at number 6 Linksman Street, Building Materials Layout, Day. And our number is 090-860-60-234. I repeat, 090-860-60-234. And we will be happy to meet you here.
And the answers.
for staying with us. This is where we end today's episode of Property and Style. Until we come your way next week, goodbye and God bless.
This is the network service of the NTA.
Hello and welcome to another fantastic edition of Visual Impressions on NTA. I am Umar Mohammed. A group of artists under the International Center for Islamic Culture and Education, ICICE, organized an exhibition titled Hijra, which translates to migration. Now, the artworks which express the imaginations of the artists in realistic and abstract forms were able to give a delivery of the Islamic faith, values, and events pictorially. Please take a look. A group of artists converged at Al Nur Mosque in Abuja to showcase their talents visually via the theme Hijra, which is an Arabic word for migration. Generally, the Hijra refers to the Prophet Muhammad Wasallam's migration from Mecca to Medina. This migration was to serve the cause of Allah and Islam, which the artists had to portray.
Right now, as I'm talking to you, we have got over 40 artists that are participating in this event, and they are the amount of artwork, in terms of variety, shape or form, practical, calligraphic, imagination, sociological, psychological, is currently over 200. And what we are trying to do, if you look at it in that context, we are creating opportunities for knowledge, acquisition and skills application. And that is one context. And in another context, what we are trying to do is to create job opportunities. And in another context is to create awareness so that people need to understand their own culture and their values.
We want to create awareness regarding Islamic education, Islamic culture. Culture includes arts, the development of what I will call Islamic craft, Islamic vocation, and so on. These are the things we have. This will also include health. We want to create awareness on health and on fitness, and so on. Then we want to create awareness on the role of women in our society, which I think is low now, and as far as I'm concerned, unacceptable.
This painting is called the Friendship Mat.
and it's done in oil in acrylic on canvas. And the theme for this exhibition being Hijra, I decided to present this artwork here because I feel this friendship mat initially, what it does is, it's a mat you spread when your guests arrive to your house. You spread this mat for her, she sits down with you, you take a bit of cola, you discuss your family affairs, you take a bit of incense, perfume, and so on. So by the time your guest leaves, there would have been some cordial relationship you've established. So that's the same thing I see as Hijra. The time when the Sahabas left Mecca for Abyssinia, they got refuge in Abyssinia because of friendship, because of cordial relationship that was established with the king and Najashi, and it became the first home of Islam on their way to Medina. So I feel the theme of Hijra is apt with the theme behind the issue of friendship in Islam. So with this one, I call it Never Again. This is an acrylic painting done on canvas, and this Never Again is a cry to the issue of Boko Haram and the trauma and the pain and the tears and the burning and the killings that have taken place in the Northeast. So basically this is the painting depicting it, with my crying canvas over here is depicting the pain that people have gone through over a misconception of an issue or a situation. And that is why you have some of the calligraphy showing in this artwork and the mundane look of the painting itself, with the tears coming down from the canvas.
What I found interesting is, like, I'm an oil-based painter. I basically paint oil on canvas. And then I got introduced to acrylic and acrylic on canvas. The advantage of the acrylic is that it dries so very fast. So, and then for me, I woke up this morning actually and I said, okay, for acrylic, let me see how much time I can take to finish one piece. I've been sampling on it anyway. This is not the first acrylic I'm working on. On this, it has the Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, which is like, say, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. What I actually did with this is like when they say holding onto straight parts. So that is why I have all of these lines that are crisscrossing everywhere. One will want to say that, okay, lead us onto straight parts or so, but you want to ask the question, if the straight part is so very visible, who looks for it? So that is why I have it all crossed all over, and even the one that actually does look straight here is all patched off. So the ways in life are not as easy. The terrain is not easy. This is oil on canvas, and importantly, I think what inspired this is to create from what I have on a canvas to make a lot of meaning to either, not just to myself, but to generality of the society. Now, this is a shot over Mount Pictou. That's talking about the Koreas. This is a volcanic eruption that had happened, and then the eruption, this is like a stagnant one. So a lot of water had come into this. And then, interestingly for me, is the shape of Africa that is inside here that I will see and then try to readjust to recreate this. And then outside of it is the map of Nigeria, which is this here. You have the Port Harcourt area, and then you have towards the Chad area at the top here, Kano, and then you're coming back to Sokoto area. Interestingly for me, when you say Nigeria, giant of Africa, it needs to actually consume Africa inside it. So that is why we have Africa inside Nigeria. So what else is it other than to say that, Lex, from our own excesses and all of the riches that we have, it's a drawn line that comes down here where the oils and everything here. We are a rich nation, but what makes it so very rich, say, is the cluster from the upper part that comes down here. So that is why we have this. And then all of the clouds and everything show to make sure that the aesthetic values and the points they are well handled. For me, it is the hues here and the blues and all of those, and then the whites that the hold. We know we don't have snow in Nigeria, but very well, the artist have he has every license to use whatever it is that he has.
All the exhibiting artists display their creative prowess by using various media such as epoxy, glass, mixed media, acrylic, pastel, and the classic oil on canvas.
This is my work. This one is Masha Allah la quwwata illa billah. It means whatever Allah wills, and there is no strength but with Allah. And this one means La tahzan inna Allah ma'ana. Do not be sad, indeed Allah is with us. Well, I got this is the one that is more related to the theme of the exhibition itself. This was said to the Prophet. This was what the Prophet ﷺ told Sayyidina Abu Bakr when they were in a cave. They were in a cave during the hijrah of the Prophet ﷺ from Mecca to Medina, and they were in a hardship moment, and the Prophet ﷺ told Abu Bakr, La tahzan, do not be sad. Inna Allah ma'ana, indeed Allah is with us. And this one is Masha Allah la quwwata illa billah. There is no strength but with Allah. And if there is no strength with Allah, it depicts also this La tahzan, Inna Allah ma'ana. Since Allah is the one that gives the strength and takes away the sadness in everything, inshallah.
Acrylic on canvas, and I also use broken glasses. I wanted to use like stones or something, but later on, I'm somebody that used a lot of bottles. I break bottles to make some of my things, so I decided, why not let me just improvise the broken bottles to just take the effect of the stones. I try to depict the two scenes, like this is the desert. I use this as Mecca. They migrated from Mecca to Medina. So I use the desert as Mecca because they followed through the desert before reaching to Medina. So this is the Mecca and this Medina when they reach Medina. And you can see houses here from Medina. So, and I also use acrylic on canvas. That's the medium I use. And the style is pointillism. I use dots. Like this, my pin. The pin I use in holding my veil. That's what I used to make them.
It's a memorable occasion to remember the time of the Prophet ﷺ that actually migrated from Mecca actually to Medina. And I'm sure you could see that there are beautiful, paintings, and there are beautiful artworks in order to commend, the efforts, of the disciples, of the Prophet by moving actually from Mecca, actually to Medina.
This hijrah was the historic event that marked the beginning of the Islamic calendar, and the subject was justified here, especially with this circular art piece glazed with epoxy. Say He is Allah, the one and only. He is absolute and eternal. He begetteth not, nor is he begotten. There is nothing like him.
In Islam, there are rules and regulations, there are do's and the don't. Typical example, if you want to have a graphical, design or arts, you cannot have a woman naked. That is not going to be condoned. So we don't encourage that, and it is obscene and it's not even acceptable in Islam. And there are some certain conditions in terms of the code of dress within which people actually should appear themselves, whether they're actually Muslims or non-Muslims. And expressions, in terms of animals, in terms of human beings, in terms of writings, like the calligraphic writings, verses of the Quran, the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, and some kind of quotations and proverbs of people of wisdom and so on, are all condoned actually in Islam. There is extremely very powerful one about Qul Huwallahu Ahad, which is clearly saying Allah is one, and associate no partner with him. And there is nothing more powerful than that, actually, because that is a cardinal, stone in terms of Islamic belief.
I came all the way from Lagos for the Hijra exhibition, and this is one of my pieces. Now I'm going to talk about this piece. It's called Suratul Ikhlas Round, and it was inspired by the theme of the exhibition. The theme is Hijra, and what comes to my mind for Hijra is the desert. The Prophet and the Sahaba traveling through the desert at night, needing the help of Allah and needing to have their faith at an all-time high. So I made the shape of sand dunes at the bottom, and I made the blue night sky to depict the Prophet traveling at night. I also used Suratul Ikhlas as my round calligraphy because it's such a strong and powerful surah for us Muslims, and I could just imagine like them trying to remind themselves that Allah is one and He's the creator, to push themselves forward through their hijrah. These two pieces are related. The calligraphy you see on these pieces are Ya Wadud, and Ya Wadud means the loving. So I made the calligraphy shifted to one side on both paintings, and then I made the second side to be like an abstract art. So the Ya Wadud is suspended over like a line to kind of give balance and a good ratio. When you look at it like the site, it's pleasing to the eye aesthetically.
I'm a mandala artist, and I'm also a Tezif artist. Tezif is a Turkish pattern. It's called Tezif or illumination. This painting, I did this. This is a 6 feet by 4 feet painting, so it's quite huge. I did this using acrylic paints on canvas. This is canvas. So these patterns right here are called geometrical patterns. These are the Tezif, the Turkish patterns, and this with this are the ornate patterns. So I combined 3 different patterns, geometrical, ornate, and Tezif, to form an infinity sign. So I did this shape to tell people that the mercy of Allah is endless, it's infinite. So, and this quote, La tahzan inna Allaha ma'anna, was I took this from a verse in Quran 9 verse 40. When the Prophet was asked to move from Mecca to Medina by the disbelievers, so he was in a cave with his companion, and then the companion was like worried about their journey and all, and the Prophet was like, La tahzan inna Allaha ma'ana, don't be sad, Allah is with us. So this painting basically was done to give people hope.
Actually this painting, I use the style of Piers Morgan, which has been my mentor all this while, and I also use some of his style to do my Islamic calligraphy painting. And specifically, I used to work with a Kufic script, the rigid type of Arabic letters. And on this painting, I've used Piers Morgan style, which is minimalism, to create this beautiful painting titled Basmala. Basmala means Bismillah, as in the name of Allah, the most beneficial, the most merciful. And in Islam, in everything we want to do, we use Bismillah, so that thing will be what successful when we are doing it. We as people, we have to move from our old ways to a new one, because the Prophet Hijrah was a migration from Mecca to Medina, and with that Hijrah, Allah showed His mercy and favor to him why he moved from Mecca to Medina, because people in Mecca did not accept him, while people in the Medina welcomed him to their land and they accepted the religion of Islam. And with that is a significant theme in our life, that if we find out that we are doing something bad in life, we can repent and embark on the migration from that bad to a good one.
For the sunflowers, I made the color look so calm, because not everybody that goes for something shouty. Some people just want it so calm. So I decided to mix a little bit of yellow and it having a little bit of white and more of like an ox blood, but the ox blood is not really that shouty. It's that damn ox blood. So that was what I used to get the sunflower. And as for this other flower, I make use of orange and more of a touch of green to bring out, like we all know that more of flowers are always having green, and I make use of the white to make it look more attractive. And for the abstract, when I started this work, I sketched it first in my sketch pad, and before transferring it back to my canvas, which I sketched it on the canvas, and I started following it up by using different colors, and which I told you initially, this is an abstract power bike. Not everybody that gets to see it and picture it to be that. It's only if it's being told and you take your time to look at it very well.
The title of my work is Fatherland Art. And actually what inspired me into this art is that mostly I like to bring back what we were before we get into the society of today. That's mostly what inspired me into landscape painting. Actually talks mostly about the society, the environment we have been into. Mostly this is where every Nigerian starts from before we go into the modern society. And when you are looking into this artwork, it's mostly explaining about the Allah. There is a definition of Allah inside. With Allah, meaning that everything is possible.
The leaf you're seeing here is so fresh that you can see the droplet of water on the leaf. That means this leaf is still fresh. And the movement of droplet of water also signifies another moment of life of every individual. It doesn't mean that this water you are seeing on this leaf will remain here forever. At a point, it will dry gradually and it vanish completely. The Arabic inscription that goes around this painting is Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. The same thing, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. For every moment of one in this life, once you are able to realize that you deserve to give thanks to Almighty Allah every time.
The concept of this work, I used pen on cardboard, then it was canvassed, and that's why it looks like this, although there's no glass on the work. This one is La ilaha illallah, which means there is no God but Allah. On this one, the pattern you see here is a combination of different Zentangle patterns. The calligraphy is Arabic calligraphy written in Zulu script, and it says La ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu minaz zalimin. It's a prayer of one of the prophets, so I decided to put it in here. And then for this one is also a combination of Zentangle patterns in a semicircular way. Then the right up in the middle is Ar-Rahman, which means the beneficent.
The definition of Islam is a way of life. So in way of life, you cannot exclude arts, you cannot exclude sociology, psychology, science, or music. And if you put it in a very loose manner, art is about expression. And possibly if you just look around, you see just only one art design. You might need about 1,000 pages in order to explain actually its essence and what it means. So therefore there is huge, actually talent, in arts, and Islam encourages that. So we have to harness those kind of talent and make sure we bring it to the fore. It's about expression. It's people, putting their own imagination, into a graphical mode so that it can be understood by the wider community. So Islam complements that. I know about arts and I'm very passionate about it. I tend to appreciate it more when I finished the university than when I started. Because initially I couldn't touch reality with it, me as a scientist, as a chemist. But now I could see even the designs of the chemicals and the instruments we use, for practical applications and so on. They are all, calligraphic and designed, by very artistic people. If you talk about science, you talk about energy balance, mass balance, you talk about various kind of containers that you use for different kind of reactions. They are all driven actually, from the knowledge of arts. My name is Kabir Kabo Usman. I am the Director General, International Center for Islamic Culture and Education, and I was former Director General, Center for Management Development in Shangisha, Lagos. I keep watching and watching and watching visual impressions in NTA. I'm very passionate about it, and I've been watching the program, and I will encourage each and every one of us to watch it.
We will now take a look at the amazing collections and recollections of one of Nigeria's finest professors of art, Professor Jacob Jari. He was at one point the head of Department of Fine Arts in Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. His composure, good nature, artistic powers were all visible in these master collections put together by him at Thoughts Pyramid Art Gallery, Abuja. Let's take a look. Professor Jacob Jari recently had his exhibition in Thoughts Pyramid Art Center, Abuja, titled Collections and Recollections. The works, which were collected from various artists and his, were aesthetically displayed for art lovers to view. The works were mostly abstract in nature, but with a realistic sense. The panoramic display of the works were captivating to artists and art enthusiasts. Most of the guests that were present were lost in the world of his calm, soothing works, which actually represented the harsh realities of life, especially in Nigeria.
I wanted to talk about this work because in the catalog, when I read what the painter did, she said she went out to get a sketch because the teacher said she should go and get a sketch. And so when she went, she saw some women sitting by North Gate. North Gate is one of the gates in Ahmadu Bello University. And they were sitting around the North Gate. So when she approached them to take a sketch or to take a photograph, this particular woman was sitting and absent-mindedly, without any interest in her whatsoever. And she was wondering why the woman would not show any interest. She didn't say she liked to be photographed. She didn't say she didn't like to be photographed. And in her, she decided that maybe there were lots of things that were going on in her mind. And the first time I looked at the work, actually, I saw a replica of the kind of thing that Rembrandt went through when he was painting old men. At one point, he didn't have money. And so he decided to paint in faces of people, particularly himself, because he couldn't hire a model. And so in this woman, I see a woman who had given up. And the artist, and I'm hoping she will be here, said that that was what captured her interest in order to paint her. And when I saw the work, I told her if she could kindly sell the work. She refused to sell and gave it to me free.
When there's a child out there that's not getting the same that your own child is getting, the difference will tell, and there will come a time in the society where that child is going to take its pound of flesh.
Where you can actually, everything from watching a program with the child, you can start up the conversation from something on the TV.
President Muhammadu Buhari to participate in investment summit in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. More economic fits with formal unveiling of e-Naira today. Plus, Nigeria showcases innovations at GITEX in Dubai. This and more you get from us on Panorama today. Welcome, I'm Ruth Aguela. President Muhammadu Buhari will today depart for Riyadh, Saudi Arabia to participate in the investment conference organized by the Future Investment Initiative Institute. The president will be joined at the 5th edition of the event by business executives from Nigeria, bankers, captains of industry and energy experts to discuss issues on the future of investments across the globe. The 3-day event with the theme Investment in Humanity will host global executives and asset managers and deliberate on progress and prosperity in energy, true final frontiers in investments, science in action and impact of climate change on communities, among others. The president will be accompanied on the trip by the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Niyi Adebayo, Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Professor Issa Ali Ibrahim Pantami, Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Zubairu Dada, Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Temipere Silva, Director General of National Intelligence Agency, Ambassador Ahmed Rufai Abubakar, and Managing Director of Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority, Uche Oji. Others on the entourage are Alhaji Mohammed Ndimi, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, Tokpe Shanubi, Wale Tinubu, Alhaji Abdul Samad Rabiu, Hassan Husman, Omoboyede Olusonya, Abubakar Suleiman, Herbert Wigwe, Leo Stan Eke, Alan Sinfield, and Alhaji Dahiru Mangal. Before returning to the country on Friday, President Buhari will perform the Lesser Hajj in Medina and Makkah. President Muhammadu Buhari is scheduled to formally unveil the Nigerian Central Bank digital currency known as the e-Naira in a couple of minutes, as a matter of fact, at the State House, Abuja today. The launch of the e-Naira is a culmination of several years of research work by the Central Bank of Nigeria in advancing the boundaries of payment systems in order to make financial transactions easier and seamless for every strata of the society. Osita Nwa Nisobi, Director, Corporate Communications of the CBN, in a statement said the e-Naira marks a major step forward in the evolution of money, and the Apex Bank is committed to ensuring that the e-Naira, like the physical Naira, is accessible by everyone. President Muhammadu Buhari has formally declared open the 27th Nigerian Economic Summit in Abuja. Representing the President, Vice President Professor Yemi Oshibajo said the Economic Sustainability Plan is yielding results, and the federal government plans a broad-based and inclusive economic plan for sustainable growth and development aimed at uplifting 100 million people out of poverty in 10 years. Let's now join Benny Adams for a situation report.
Well, thank you very much, Studio. Yes, it is the 27th edition of the Nigerian Economic Summit, which is an assemblage of national as well as global leaders in economics and politics. It is all about rebuilding economies from the effects of COVID-19. You agree with me that countries globally have their eyes fixed on the speed and also the process of recovery, and Nigeria is not left out of it. And here we have speakers here on the conversation that will lead to finding solutions to this recovery, and not just getting for the economy to recover, but also to retain this recovery for sustainable growth. And panelists here have been sharing their views on the way to go for not just Nigeria, but also the African economy. More so that the African continental market is here, and Nigeria has a large market share. So it is about conversations, aggregating conversations that add going to ensure that Nigeria gets to enjoy its market share, its potential being well expressed. And we have here one of the keynote speakers, former Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Haile Mariam. He shared his own views about how Ethiopia's economy is going, courtesy some of the reforms they've been able to put in place. I'm getting to hear from the Minister of Finance talking about Zainab Ahmed. She also talked about the contributions as well as the reforms the Nigerian government have been able to put in place to ensure that the economy gets to where it is today. The recovery process, you will agree with me, is quite fast. It might not just be there yet, but it is a journey that is making great progress. And she said all hands must be on deck, talking about the government, the private sector, and each and every Nigerian must be committed to this recovery process and for sustainable growth.
To realize this future, a paradigm shift is incontrovertible.
Okay, thank you. The conversations continue today and tomorrow, and we have the theme of this as securing our future, the fierce urgency of now. We have like 29 sub-teams where national and global economic leaders will be brainstorming. We hope that at the end of the day, a policy statement will be made where government can adopt and move on from where we are today. Thank you so very much. So let you in the studio.
Thank you very much, Benny, there giving us an update on the 27th Nigerian Economic Summit. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, has accused London-based newspaper The Economist of bias in its assessment of the security situation in Nigeria. In a statement, the presidential advisor agrees that The Economist is correct in noting that Nigeria faces 4 key threats to the stability and prosperity of the nation, namely ISWAP, Boko Haram, terrorism in the northeast, kidnapping and crime in the northwest, herders farmers disputes in the central belt, and the delusions of IPOP terrorists in the southeast. He also agrees that The Economist is accurate to state that the situation has come to a head under President Buhari and the All Progressives Congress administration. Garba Shehu, however, explains that it is because for so long on the previous administrations, whether military or democratic, tough decisions were ducked and challenges never fully tackled, with the effect of abating these dangers and allowing them all to fester and grow. He affirms that today all 4 threats are being fought concurrently, and it is only this administration that has finally showed the will and determination to confront them. The statement notes that the military is engaged in almost all the states of Nigeria because the president has insisted on addressing these perennial issues during his time in office. The presidential aide added that bandits were inaccurately described by The Economist, stating that bandits who have the resources and technology to shoot down a military fighter jet are not bandits at all, but rather highly organized crime syndicates with huge resources and weaponry. Garba Shehu assures that it will take time, but the president is unwavering in his determination to collapse these security challenges. Minister of Interior Rauf Aregbesola has reassured of intensified efforts in the manhunt for the escaped inmates of the Nigerian Correctional Service Custodial Center in Oyo Town. Ayomiku Ajibola reports that the minister stated this while assessing the facility.
By the Comptroller General, Nigeria Correctional Service, Minister of Interior Rauf Aregbesola, while inspecting the level of damage done by government during the attack on the Custodial Center, declared that the federal government will strengthen security at the correctional service centers to combat security challenges confronting them. Security men, according to the minister, will pursue and recapture all inmates who escaped from the Abolongo Custodial Center of the Nigeria Correctional Service, saying their release is a breach of national security.
The security agencies in the country are on their trail. We shall not rest or tire until we bring the last one in, dead or alive.
We don't have any high-profile inmate. The only person we have is that person who has a case with EFCC. And for your information, he's still with us here.
We have recaptured
378 inmates out of 907 inmates. The number at large is 460 inmates.
On the effort to rebuild the damaged part of the facility, the minister noted that he has directed the Nigerian Correctional Service to immediately begin remediation work. Meanwhile, Governor Seyi Makinde was also at the Abolongo Correctional Center, Oyo, to assess the extent of damage done on the facility.
We're going to position camera here and we will link it back to our security situation room.
The state government, according to him, has directed security agencies to deploy personnel to critical national assets within the state and to monitor all entrance and exit points across the state. In Ibadan, Ayoniku Ajibola, NTA News.
Operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has apprehended a 35-year-old nursing mother at the Edo State Command headquarters of the agency while trying to smuggle 13 grams of loud, that is cannabis sativa, into the cell for a suspect in custody. The substance was concealed inside cassava balls mill, akpu, meant for the suspect, also a relation. The 35-year-old is one out of the 10 suspects arrested during nationwide operations by the NDLEA, which also led to the seizure of over 2.6 tons of illicit substances to include heroin, methamphetamine, cannabis, tramadol, and Rohypnol, with Edo State recording the high seizure of 1.7 tons of cannabis. Let's take a break. We'll be back in a moment.
The vaccine offers hope for a safe country free of coronavirus. I urge all state governments, traditional and religious leaders to take the lead in the mobilization effort within their environment and spheres of influence. I similarly urge all eligible Nigerians to present themselves and be vaccinated in accordance with the order of priority already mapped out at the various authorized designated centers only.
Welcome back. Residents and road users in Gwarimpa Housing Estate have appealed to the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, to, as a matter of concern, address the recurrent challenge posed by potholes littering the access gate and causing untold hardship to the people. Ilyasu Onotu Yakubu brings us a situation report.
Although most of the road users would not speak on camera, but their lamentations are the same. 3 out of the access roads into and out of Gwarimpa Housing Estate are nightmares, especially during rush hours, morning and night. The situation is worse in rainy seasons, be it at the Federal Housing Gate or Gwarimpa main entrance.
I know that frequently I'm seeing FEMA on the road trying to repair it, but if you repair it 2 months later, the road is bad again.
At the Abuja Model City Gate, traffic here resulting from potholes knows no rush hour.
But for respite, Abdullahi Abubakar here is one on a voluntary service, and he says his motivating factor is part of efforts to support security operatives who are always here day and night in order to ensure that there is free flow of traffic, irrespective of the situation with the road here.
I do it to support them and contribute to Nigeria's growth.
Traffic managers adduce the build-up of traffic at such locations during rush hours to the impatience of some drivers who are in the habit of reckless and uncoordinated maneuver.
A little patience. On the part of all road users that are using those areas, we desire that they exercise some patience as the staff deployed to those locations are managing the traffic.
Once you have a bad situation ahead of you, what you need to do is to slow down and see how you can enter it where the traffic is not heavy.
They urge the authorities to give necessary attention to such failed portions across the city for ease of traffic management. Ilyasu Onotu Yakubu, NTA News.
So They Can Walk is a compendium of polio eradication in Nigeria, written by Professor of History Christopher Bankole in the BC. Basi Taipang tells us more about the book presentation in Abuja, which is part of activities to mark this year's World Polio Day.
Poliomyelitis is a life-threatening viral illness that spreads through contaminated food and water. It is said to be the most severe symptoms of paralysis, which can lead to permanent disability, breathing difficulty, and can also lead to death. Nigeria in August 25, 2020, through sustained and concerted efforts of government and other partners, joined the League of Countries certified wild polio-free. This journey and the need to sustain a polio-free status is the essence of this book.
We wanted to put in the book how it all started, how we were involved, how the partnership came up, how we woke up one day in Rotary and we look at it and we say, we see something that can be done. And we laid it and we said, let's get partners and let's give a gift to the children of the world.
Part of the partnership we are seeking with you to advocate for parents and caregivers to continue taking their children to healthcare centers to have their routine immunization and to open their doors to vaccinators when they go house to house from time to time.
And you can do it, and you have done it. Wild polio does not exist in Nigeria or Africa, and that has a lot to do with the Rotary Club.
The 7-chapter book, which provides an in-depth analysis of polio and its impact, is aimed at ensuring continuous resource supply to keep polio at zero in the country and out of the world.
The book is in a very rare area of historical studies, medical history.
Rotary kits were on hand to appreciate government and partners for giving them a polio-free world. Basi Taipang, NTA.
If you like the tech, then take it. This is the scenario that played out at the 41st edition of GITEX held at the World Trade Center in Dubai, where over 200 startups and innovators redefined the latest trends and showcased innovations from across the world. ICT correspondent Joseph Johnson let us in on what technologies Nigerian startups came to the show with, as he describes it as a tech hive of activities.
Every stand you see in this building has something unique to offer, particularly to solve a certain problem. From AI to 5G, quantum computing, immersive marketing, fintech, blockchain, cybersecurity, the list seems inexhaustible.
The Nigerian startups also came bearing solutions to some problems with their innovative products, as they're engaged stakeholders in the prospects and what their technologies portend for the nearest future.
Farmers in Africa are faced with the problem of financial exclusion. So we created AgriCoin to solve that problem by partnering with the major stakeholders within the agricultural value chain.
Basically, Breaking Space seeks to provide online mental health services. We know that right now in Nigeria, 1 in 4 Nigerians are suffering from this outbreak. So Breaking Space seeks to provide access to support and counseling services.
My product is Chopwork Marketplace. At Chopwork, we're trying to solve 2 major problems. The first problem is unemployment.
Allow Invest is a digital platform to access ethical financial products and services.
Pole is a transportation app whereby we're able to solve the problem of one chance, as it's popularly called in Nigeria.
So EduVR is a virtual reality solution for education that allows students to visualize what they're being taught in the classroom, changing the knowledge.
As they share ideas, learn and unlearn, the hope expressed here is that technology should be driven in such a way that it makes the world so much a better place. From the World Trade Center in Dubai, Joseph Johnson, NTA News.
Thank you, Joseph. Back home for us, the federal government will soon commence the implementation of animal identification and traceability project, we hear, with a view to addressing conflicts associated with livestock breeding in the country. Musa Baba Aliyu will tell us more.
It is estimated that livestock breeders in the country have lost more than 3 million of their animals to rustlers in the last few years. A development the Federal Ministry of Agriculture says is threatening livestock business in the country. Consequently, the ministry, in partnership with a foreign firm, is introducing an animal identification and traceability system that will help in addressing cases of rustling and illegal movement of animals in the country.
If an animal should enter into a farm and destroy the farm, all the farmer needs to watch out for is the ear tag. The color of the ear tag is tagged to a particular state. So it will be easy for us to trace that animal back to the owner.
And here are representatives of cattle breeders in Abuja being sensitized on the tracking system and how it will be of great benefit to them. Dr. Kabir Abdulkadir is one of the partners promoting the project.
So what we wanted to do, who owns these cows? How many? Where are you? Let us get your biodata. Let's get your address. So by doing that one, we can be able to say, yes, Nigeria has got this owners of these cows, or got this population of these cows. We can trace now from the birth of a cow up to the market.
The last time government conducted an animal census was in 1991. However, it is believed that the tracking system, if implemented, will provide government with statistics of animals in Nigeria and data of the ones slaughtered daily for consumption. In Abuja, Musa Baba Ali, NTA News.
Tukur Al-Sudi has emerged as the consensus chairman of the All Progressives Congress in Taraba State. Correspondent Adamu Haruna Adams reports that all other officials were elected likewise.
The state party officials emerged through consensus coordinated by a member of the State Congress Committee, Mrs. Rachel Akpabio. Newly elected state chairman of the party, Ibrahim Tukur El-Sudi, expressed commitment to lead the party to success in all subsequent elections in Taraba State.
We have come to an agreement that there should be affirmation with minor changes in some offices. Due to the fact that there was so much interest in the future of the party in this state, there was a need to consult with all the critical stakeholders of Taraba State.
The newly elected state officials were sworn in immediately. In Jalingo, Adamu Haruna Adams, NTA.
Next is sports update.
The Nigerian national women's team, Super Falcons, have booked a ticket to the second and final round of the qualifiers for the African Women's Cup of Nations bid for Morocco next year. The Falcons survived a huge scare for one of their fierce rivals, Ghana, to edge closer to qualifying for Morocco 2022. A long-goal defeat in Accra on Sunday meant the 9-time Africa champions survived with a 2-1 aggregate over their hosts. The Falcons progressed to the final round, where they played the Lady Elephant of the Côte d'Ivoire in February 2022. Manchester United coach Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has called Sunday's 5-0 loss to Liverpool in the Premier League his darkest day as head coach of the 20-time English champions. Mohamed Salah netted 3 times, while Naby Keita and Diego Jota were also on the score sheet as Jurgen Klopp's side embarrassed their bitter rivals at Old Trafford. Solskjaer has taken full responsibility for the defeat, but has insisted that he can still turn the club's fortunes around by claiming that the team are too close to give up now. And in Formula 1, Max Verstappen has emerged victorious at the United States Grand Prix, edging out Lewis Hamilton in a fairly climax in Texas. Despite starting a pole, championship leader Verstappen was arguably the underdog as he went head-to-head with a rival who has had huge success on this track. With sports updates, I am Omoyemi.
We're done with Panorama. Thank you very much for your time. But please stay tuned to the NTA, because coming up very shortly live is the Nigerian Central Bank digital currency, that is the e-Naira, the unveiling actually. So stay tuned to NTA. But remember, we're not done in the fight against rape and rapists. I'm Ruth Aguela. Bye.
This is the network service of the NTA. We now join our outside broadcast crew for a live telecast. Please stay tuned.
Let's be seated, please.
Thank you.
Your Excellency, Mr. President, Vice President, Your Excellency, President of the Senate, Speaker, House of Representatives, members of the Federal Executive Council here present, National Security Advisor, Governor of the Central Bank, Chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission, Service Chiefs and Inspector General of Police, Heads of Security Agencies, Chairman, Nigerian Legion, Senior Government Officials, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Mr. President, we have 3 events which will run back to back. The first is the swearing in of National Commissioners for the Independent National Electoral Commission. The second is the launch of the e-Naira, and then we'll have the launch of the Armed Forces Remembrance Day emblem. The first now is the swearing in of the INEC National Commissioners. Mr. President, you may please recall that last month, on September 15, you administered the oath of office on 3 national commissioners of the Independent National Electoral Commission who have been duly cleared by the Senate. 2 other members of the body who have also been cleared are here before you this afternoon, ready to take their oaths of office after their abridged citations have been read. My pleasure to call on Professor Muhammad Sani Kala to rise up as his citation is read. Professor Muhammad Sani Kala was born on 9 February 1947 in Zango local government in Katsina State. He holds a bachelor's degree in agriculture from New Mexico State University, USA, and a PhD degree with specialization in ecology and management of rangeland resources from Colorado State University, USA in 1980. A lecturer and research scientist at Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria for 4 decades. The professor has been a facilitator in rural development, empowerment, and poverty alleviation programs. He was chairman of Katsina State Agricultural Activities Implementation Program, as well as executive director of National Animal Production Research Institute, Ahmadu Bello University, among others. Professor Kala, who is a member of national and international professional organizations, is a proud awardee of the National Productivity Order of Merit.
NTA, you can't beat the reach.
Gone are the days when formal education was the only emphasis for young people in Nigeria. The new trend is skill acquisition, in addition to any course of study in school. Many young people, including bakers who have vocational skills, are not just doing great, but are employers of labor. You're watching Baker's World on NTA. I am Funke Oyele. Many thanks for watching. This episode offers an opportunity to explore bread and pizza recipe. If you have any interest in starting a baking business, this is a must-watch for you. Our guest is a professional baker who has been able to translate our hobby into a baking career. You'll get to know more about her in our conversation segment. All these and more for you on the show. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Bread is a snack to some, while a great number of people love it as a staple food. Today on this segment, our guest baker, Olusholakbe, and our assistant will be showing us how to make pizza, sardine bread, and burger buns. I'm sure you won't want to miss this. If you're ready, let's hand over to our baker now.
Before we start baking today, we're going to wash our hands because we're using our hands for a lot of things that we'll be doing. For our sardine rolls and our burger bun, we have a 7-ingredient recipe. This is my second ingredient. I stir 50 grams of sugar, a tablespoon of yeast, a tablespoon of salt to my flour. While I pour my flour, salt into the liquid mixture, my assistant will measure out for me 90 grams of margarine. At this point, my mixture is getting thick. I'm going to add my margarine to help soften the thick mixture while I use my hand to complete the mixing. And then I can add my remaining flour gradually. At this point, I will transfer my mixture to my mixer to mix using my dough hook to complete the kneading process. My dough is ready, so I'm just going to cover it and keep in a warm place for it to proof before we move to the next stage. The pizza dough is what we are looking at next. I would start by measuring my water into my bowl. I add 3 tablespoons of oil. Let's measure 375 grams of flour, 1 tablespoon of sugar, then my yeast. Lastly, we're going to add our salt. It's time to add my flour and salt into my water. I'm going to use my dough hook to knead. Our pizza dough is not as stiff as a lot of other bread doughs. So we're going to add a little oil to our pan before we transfer our dough. I set my dough aside for proofing. Now our dough is ready and proofed. As you can see, I'm going to knock it down To knock out the air, I bring it out onto my work table. A little flour here so that it will not stick to my table. We're going to be making burger buns from this, as well as sardine rolls. Our burger buns works with precision in the weight. So I'm going to use my scale to measure 100 grams each. Each burger bun will be 100 grams. I have 400 grams each here. I'm going to roll it into a ball shape. When molding your dough for any bread, you have to ensure that your dough is tight so that the under of your burger bun will be smooth. You roll it, rub it on your surface. Roll it, rub it on your surface so that the under will be smooth. When baking your burger bun, please bear in mind you need a spacious pan. Your burger buns need space so that they can come out individually. I'm going to also flour my pan lightly. Flouring my pan. This pan can take about 6 or 8 burger buns. I'm going to spread out this 4 that I have here from this particular mix. You can see that the buns are well spaced so that they can bake evenly and individually. This I set aside to prove again before baking. The proving this time around would be a mild one, not as long as the first time. I told you that the sardine roll would not require precision like your burger buns. So I'm just going to shear my dough into 6. So you can see I've sheared my dough into 6, not necessarily measuring them. At this point, my assistant will bring the sardine while I flatten the dough. He's going to drop a little sardine in each. We're adding sardine to the center of our dough. Now, I'm going to fold them over. Please bring the pan. I'm rolling my dough into balls before I start to arrange into my pan. When rolling into ball, make sure your sardine is not exposed and make a neat ball. If your sardine shoots out at any point, you will not get
the Vice President.
This is the network service of the NTA. We now join our outside broadcast crew for a live telecast. Please stay tuned.
Executive Council here present, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure to be here this afternoon on a very special occasion of the unveiling of Nigeria's digital currency by Mr. President. Mr. President, sir, permit me to say that it is to your leadership, sir, that owing to the enormous work done at the CBN, Nigeria has one of the most advanced payment systems in the world and certainly the best in Africa, which is befitting to the country as the largest economy in Africa. It is to your credit, Your Excellency, that Nigeria has the best payment system in Africa today. With growing interest in central bank digital currency, CBDC, around the world, the Central Bank of Nigeria commenced extensive study, consultations, identification of use cases, and the testing of the CBDC concept in a sandbox environment as far back as 2017. The objective of the research was to establish a compelling case for the adoption of a digital currency in Nigeria to enable a more prosperous and inclusive economy for all Nigerians. Following the completion of the preliminary work, Our researchers and experts at the CBN were able to clearly establish that a digital currency will drive a more cashless, inclusive, and digital economy and will complement the gains of previous policy measures and our fast-growing payments platform in Nigeria. As such, the CBN decided to implement its own CBDC and to name the digital currency the e-Naira. Your Excellency, the CBN believes that e-Naira will make a significant positive difference to Nigeria and Nigerians, including A, supporting a resilient payment system ecosystem, B, encouraging rapid financial inclusion, C, reducing the cost of processing cash, D, enabling direct and transparent welfare interventions to our citizens, E, increasing revenue and tax collection, F, facilitating diaspora remittances into Nigeria, G, reducing the cost of financial transactions and improving the efficiency of payments in Nigeria. Therefore, the e-Naira is Nigeria's CBDC, and it is digital equivalent of the physical Naira. As the tagline simply encapsulates, the e-Naira is the same Naira with far more possibilities. The e-Naira, like the physical Naira, is a legal tender in Nigeria and a liability of the Central Bank of Nigeria. The e-Naira and Naira will have the same value and will always be exchanged at 1 Naira to 1 e-Naira. To de-risk the process, Your Excellency, the CBN has given careful consideration to the entire payments and financial architecture and has designed the e-Naira to complement and strengthen these ecosystems and have implemented secure safeguards and policies to maintain the integrity of the financial system. Specifically, there will be strict adherence to the anti-money laundering and combating the financing of terrorism AML CFT standards in order to preserve the integrity and stability of Nigeria's payment system. Since the e-Naira platform went live, there has been overwhelming interest and encouraging response from Nigerians and other parties across the globe, with over 2.5 million daily visits to our websites with the following milestones. 1. 33 banks are fully integrated and live on the platform. 2. 500 million Naira has been successfully minted by the CBN. 3. 200 million Naira has been issued to financial institutions. 4. Over 2,000 customers have been onboarded on the platform. And 5. Over 120 merchants have successfully registered on the e-platform. With this launch today, we believe that the numbers will grow exponentially. Today, customers who download the e-Naira Speed Wallet app will be able to perform the following. A. Onboard and create their wallet. B. Fund their e-Naira wallet from their bank account. C. Transfer e-Naira from their wallet to another wallet. And D. Make payments for purchases at registered merchants' locations, both within and even across the country. Mr. President, sir, today you make history yet again with the launch of the e-Naira, the first in Africa and one of the earliest around the world today. Mr. President, as you make groundbreaking reforms, there have been continuing debate on the true value of our Naira. Rather than worry today on the direction of the exchange rate, let us take a step back and analyze how we got here in the first place. Please recall, Your Excellency, that since the advent of the International Monetary Fund IMF-led structural adjustment program SAP in 1986 and the introduction of the second-tier foreign exchange SFEM market, the Naira has been on a one-way free fall from parity to the US dollar in 1984 to over 410 Naira to the dollar today. Some 35 years after that, we have not been able to achieve the many promises and objectives of that program. Instead, what we have seen is widespread import dependency, which has wiped out most of our production and manufacturing bases and exported all our jobs in the process. What has happened to the massive textile factories across our nation, such that we import almost all cotton products when we are rich in cotton? What has happened to our vehicle assembly plants across the nation, such that we import most vehicles and have become a massive dumping ground for dying second-hand vehicles in Nigeria today? What has happened to our rubber plantations through which we made the best tires and rubber products in the world? What has happened to our groundnut pyramids? And what has happened to our cocoa farms? And lastly, what has happened to our palm oil mills in Nigeria? Your Excellency, under your leadership, we must stop this decline for good. We must return to massive homemade production. We must get our people working again. We must create the economic environment for massive domestic production and significant non-oil exports. As custodians of your national reserves, let me first assure you, Your Excellency, that there is no cause for alarm at all. Our foreign exchange reserves are strong and indeed getting stronger by the day, crossing the $40 billion mark and is one of the highest in Africa and growing. But we cannot fritter our reserves away on cheap imports and currency speculators. We must return to an employment-led growth anchored on productivity and rewarding producers of local goods, services, innovation, and new technologies. If you consume cheap imports and export our jobs, we will make you pay dearly for it. But if you produce locally with little or no foreign inputs beyond machinery, we will support you and the market will reward you abundantly. Today, in addition to all policies and actions of the CBN to support the economy, especially through the trying times of COVID-19, the CBN is announcing a new financial instrument titled the 100 for 100 PPP. PPP meaning Policy on Production and Productivity, which will be anchored in our Development Finance Department under my direct supervision. Under this policy, the CBN will advertise, screen, scrutinize, and financially support 100 targeted private sector companies in 100 days, beginning from November 1, 2021, and rolling over every 100 days with new sets of 100 companies whose names will be published in national dailies for Nigerians to verify and confirm. Working through our banks, the financial instrument will be available to their customers in critical areas to boost their production and productivity and to immediately transform and jumpstart the productive base of our economy once again. After these 100 projects by companies, in the first 100 days from November 1, we will take the next 100 companies and projects for another 100 days beginning February 1, 2022, and then another 100 companies for another 100 days beginning May 1, 2022. The purpose of this instrument, Your Excellency, is to take further steps to reverse our over-reliance on imports. We believe that if we target and support the right companies and projects, we will see a significant, measurable, and verifiable increase in local production and productivity, reduction in certain imports, increase in our non-oil exports, and improvement in the foreign exchange generating capacity of our economy. This, in my view, is the best and most sustainable way to address the Naira's value through production and more production. As with most digital revolutions, our e-Naira is a journey that starts today. It is not a one-off event. It is a journey of possibilities. We will continue to refine, fine-tune, and upgrade it. Therefore, Nigerians should expect to see additional functionalities in the coming months Nigeria one of the first countries in the world to deploy central bank digital currency via USSD on phones without relying on internet connectivity. Onboarding of revenue collection agencies to increase and simplify our process of revenue collection in Nigeria. 3. Creation of sector-specific tokens to support the federal government's social programs and distribution of targeted welfare schemes in a bid to lift millions of Nigerians out of poverty by 2025 rather than resort to the distribution of cash publicly. Let me say, Your Excellency, that the success of the e-Naira project could not have come without the active collaboration of several stakeholders inside and outside the government. I am grateful to all these agencies and leaders. In particular, I'd like to thank our Honorable Minister for Communications and Digital Economy and the Executive Vice Chairman of the Nigerian Communications Commission and all the other agencies under the ministry for their collaboration and assistance. The CBN acknowledges the daunting task ahead. We, as such, call on all relevant stakeholders, including the financial institutions, Nigerian Interbank Settlement System, the fintech groups, telcos and merchants, to collaborate, innovate, deepen, enhance the value of our e-Naira to Nigerians and to Nigeria. It is the bank's hope that e-Naira will drive the digital economy agenda and foster a more prosperous Nigeria. I congratulate Nigerians, I congratulate you, Mr. President, for this feat. The e-Naira, same Naira, more possibilities. I thank you for your attention, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. He says the e-Naira is a journey starting today, and it's a journey of possibilities. Excellency, Mr. President, we are going to watch a brief video on how to use the e-Naira. Video on how to use the e-Naira. Thank you.
What your Naira can do for you by adopting Nigeria's official central bank currency. Your e-Naira journey begins with a CBN-issued Speed Wallet app. To get started, visit the Google Play Store or Apple Play Store. Search for e-Naira and click on the Install button. Now that you have the Speed apps to register, click on Sign Up with your bank. Find your e-Naira partner bank and select. This is any bank you have a verified account number with. The Create Account screen. Insert your 11-digit phone number. Set and confirm your password. This will be your e-Naira wallet password going forward. Click on Continue after the button turns green, and you will be taken to the personal information screen. Insert the following as used on your BVN. Your first name, your last name, your date of birth, your state of origin, your account number in the chosen partner bank. Click on Continue after the button turns green to review the information supplied, and then click Submit. Note that when signing up, you have a maximum number of 3 attempts to get it right, after which the system will log you out for 30 minutes. An email is sent to you with an activation link which expires after 1 hour. Once activated, you have become officially registered. For individuals and for businesses, e-Naira and the e-Naira Speed Wallet make the worries of handling money, yesterday's problems, become
That is the short video on how to use the e-Naira. Your Excellency, Mr. President, we have got to the point in which you will make your remarks, and I'd like to add that after those remarks, there will be the official unveiling of the e-Naira, in which you will be joined by His Excellency, the Vice President, and the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Your Excellency, Mr. President.
Your Excellency, the Vice President, the Senate President, Speaker, House of Representatives, members of the Executive Council, National Security Advisor, Governor, Central Bank of Nigeria, Service Chiefs and Inspector General of Police, Heads of Security Agencies, Chairman, Nigerian Legion, Senior government officials, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to today's event, which is to officially launch our country's digital currency, the e-Naira. As we all know, money has been part of human history for at least the last 3,000 years in some way, shape, or form. But over this period, its form has evolved to respond to the realities of the economy and willingness of economic actors to synchronize money to the realities of life itself. This is why money has evolved through 6 identifiable stages, including the barter system, commodity money, metallic money, paper money, credit money, and electronic money. In recent times, the use of physical cash in conducting businesses and making payments has been on the decline. This trend has been exacerbated by the onset of the coronavirus pandemic and the resurgence of a new digital economy. Alongside these developments, businesses, households, and other economic agents have sought for new means of making payments in the new circumstances. The absence of a swift and effective solution to these requirements, as well as fears that central banks' actions, sometimes to hyperinflation, created the space for non-government entities to establish new forms of private currencies that seemed to have gained popularity and acceptance across the world, including here in Nigeria. In response to these developments, an overwhelming majority of central banks across the world have started to consider issuing digital currencies in order to cater for businesses and households seeking faster, safer, easier, and cheaper. A handful of countries, including China, Bahamas, and Cambodia, have already issued their own central bank digital currencies. 20 banks around the world by the Bank of International Settlements found that almost 90% are actively researching the potential for central bank digital currencies. 60% were experimenting with the technology, and 14% were deploying pilot projects. Needless to add, close monitoring and close supervision will be necessary in the early stages of implementation to study the effect of e-Naira on the economy as a whole. It is on the basis of this that the Central Bank of Nigeria sought and received my approval to explore issuing Nigeria's own central bank digital currency named the e-Naira. This move was underpinned by the fact that the CBN has been a leading innovator in the form of money they produce and in the payment services they deploy for efficient transactions. They have invested heavily in creating a payment system that is ranked in the top 10 in the world and certainly the best in Africa. This payment system now provides high-value and time-critical payment services to financial institutions and ultimately serves as the backbone for every electronic payment in Nigeria. They have also supported several private sector initiatives to improve the existing payments landscape and in turn have created some of the world's leading payment service providers today. While the journey to create a digital currency for Nigeria began sometimes in 2017, work identified over the first several months with several brainstorming exercises, deployment of technical partners and advisors, collaboration with the ministries of communications and digital economy and its sister agencies like the Nigerian Communications Commission, integration of banking software across the country, and painstaking tests to ensure the robustness, safety, and scalability of the central bank digital currencies system. Let me note that aside from the global trend to create digital currencies, we believe that there are Nigerians that cut across different, the first in the world to introduce a digital currency to her citizens. Let me, in closing, commend the governor of the central bank, his deputies, and the entire team of staff who worked tirelessly to make this day a reality. I thank you, and may God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Mr. President. What follows now is the official unveiling of the e-Naira, in which the President will be joined by His Excellency, the Vice President, and the Governor of the Central Bank.
I haven't rehearsed. So what do we do? That is it?
That is it. And
this secret can only be unveiled by the Governor of Central Bank.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Mr. President, Your Excellency, the Vice President and Governor of the Central Bank. Thank you.
Can I go?
Okay, Mr. President.
I see. I see. Yes. Where are the emblems?
Okay, they thought, okay, I thought Mr. President wanted to make other remarks. Your Excellency, Mr. President, we are now going into the third event, which is the launch
NTA. You can't beat the rich.
Hello and welcome. It's time for another interesting package of
Everything Music.
Angelina, you dey cool in my temperature. If you call, I go come deliver.
This is Talking Movies.
In times of old, the world was full of wonder.
No! Stop it! Welcoming you to your weekend for today.
It's time to use our voice.
Beyond 6 packs.
Bills.
Pay the bills, keep paying my telephone bills, keep paying my bills.
Welcome to Gallery.
Me and my parties.
London for what?
London for medicine.
Medicine for what?
Medicine for coffee.
Are you sickness?
To our illness. Welcome to Gist Zone.
All right, my name is the Eselucien Wego One. Ona nyokoko nyonyo.
No, don't touch your TV. There is nothing actually wrong with your TV set. I tried to pull a little stunt there because I'm talking about communication today. And communication, you know, can come in various forms. You're talking verbal and non-verbal communication. Verbal would include the use of languages. Yep. Sounds and so on. Non-verbal communication will be like something I just did, the use of gestures, use of symbols, and so on. Can you imagine our lives without any form of communication attached? That would be a bit difficult now, wouldn't it? Yeah, it would be. Even animals need to communicate. A dog, for instance, would bark if it senses a form of threat, maybe to let other dogs know that there is a challenge somewhere, or even the human owners to know that there is something you should know. That is communication. All over the world, we have languages. A lot of people have their different languages that they work with. Nigeria is... We've heard that in Nigeria we have over dialects that we use. But these over 500 dialects, you find people who can't even speak one. They even avoid trying. All they want to do is speak English. And unfortunately, even the English language, a lot of young people can't even speak very well anymore. So what truly is happening? What is the fate of our languages? What is the fate of our history? That is our focus today on the program, Our History. I welcome you. My name is Cordelia Obey. Let's find out some of the things behind the challenges we are facing today concerning our languages.
Our history.
Yorùbá náà ni.
Ṣé ọmọ yín gbọ́ Yorùbá?
Dáadáa.
Tó máa ń sọ dáadáa.
Wọ́n máa ń sọ.
Hello.
Ó ṣe Yorùbá ìpè tó máa ń sọ.
Hello.
Wọ́n sọ. Wọ́n sọ. Bọ̀dọ̀ tí wọ́n máa ń sọ pé irú nísìnyí kíní ìgbálẹ̀ yẹn èmi ìgbálẹ̀ lẹ máa ń pè lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ mi. Wọ́n ní ọ̀wọ̀. Sẹ́mọ̀rú ẹ̀ ọ̀wọ̀. Irú fami tẹ́ fi ń fa omi yẹn. Ìfami lẹ máa ń pè. Wọ́n ní igbá. Ẹ mọ̀ pé ìjìnlẹ̀ Yorùbá nù igbá àfami. Ìṣẹ̀dá máa pè ní ìfami. Àwọn ní igbá.
Human beings interact among themselves on a daily basis in different ways.
Things are not really moving the way it should.
In a family, the husband and wife communicate with each other in the language they both understand on how to build a strong and healthy family. Without communication, they cannot build a healthy family. Communication is said to be a process of transferring information from one place to another, or from one person to another, through a channel with possibilities of getting feedbacks. People communicate with one another for different purposes. It can be in form of sign language, body language, facial expression, use of telecommunication, and the internet. But the most commonly used form of communication is language. Language can be in form of using words spoken with the hand gestures and sometimes structured with grammar. Every community adapts to different dialects to communicate with one another. However, each language is unique to the people who express themselves in it.
Language is a way of expressing our feelings. It is a system anyway. It's a systematic way of using words, signs, or symbols to express